I believe we're live. Thursday night football. Yeah. September the 18th, 2000 hours. We got Thursday night football. It is the Dolphins at the Bills. We got some rivals to take a look at. So we're going to keep track of this game. It should kick off about 8:15. We'll talk about whatever comes about. We'll see what Tua Tagovailoa's got going on. The Buffalo Josh Allens. You name it. We'll talk about it in terms of the game and anything else that may come up in the chat once folks show up and start chatting. Thursday night with old Frankie here on FSPN. And it's a very interesting game to begin the night because, after all, the Dolphins are 0-2. And if they go 0-3, Todd is here. So that goes on top of that. Hey, Todd, good to see you, buddy. And if the Dolphins go 0-3, what will become of them? Now, the owner has already come out and said, I'm going to be patient. Don't worry, everybody. I'm going to be patient. But at 0-3, the seats are going to be getting hot for old Mike McDaniels and, Chris Greer. Troll Rich is here. Hope they both lose. Well, that's not possible, Troll Rich. They could tie, however. It could be a tie. But it'll be interesting to see how much how they play. The first game of the year, the Dolphins played terrible, looked awful against the Colts. But in the second game, they were in it against the Patriots. So the Patriots were able to pull it out. But we got to see how now the defense has been very bad for the Dolphins so far, and they have a lot of good players on defense. So you got to wonder what's going on there. And the Bills, of course, had the thriller in the opener, where they came back in the fourth quarter at the end and were able to beat the Ravens, the Craven Ravens. And then they, of course, came to our place and beat the bejesus out of us, and that was no surprise. But still, Troll Rich, what's up? What's up? Remember that commercial? What's up? Most annoying commercial ever. So we got to see what's going on. Now, the Bills, of course, are firmly in their Super Bowl window. We know that. Anything short of the Super Bowl for the Bills is a total disappointment. That's obvious. Now, the Dolphins, on the other hand, are a very interesting team. We don't know which way they're going. They got a lot of talent. They got a lot of high-priced people. If they start losing a lot, they could be making a lot of trades at the trade deadline. That could reshape the entire NFL. If Tyreek Hill goes to the Chiefs or somebody else, that could change the balance of power. Like if the Dolphins trade, what if the Dolphins trade Tyreek Hill to the Ravens? The Ravens think, boy, we need something else to get past these Bills this year. Something like that. So very interesting indeed. And then the same thing goes for us. I mean, we're 0-2. We're sitting here. We're 0-2. If we lose to the Bucs and then we lose to the Dolphins and we're sitting here at 0-4, we could be trading people. It could be one of those things where they go, all right, we gave it a shot, but now time to get those draft picks for next season, So we'll see how it goes. But on the other hand, we could beat the Bucs and we could beat the Dolphins and be 2-2 and be right back in it. So, yeah, we could remember we tried to get Tyreek Hill, if you remember, Troll Rich. If you remember, he didn't want to pay the New Jersey state income taxes. He could have been on our team, but we play in New Jersey, and that was the problem. And, of course, Miami in general is a much better destination for pretty much anybody than New Jersey. We have a lot of things going against us, just off the jump, trying to acquire these players. Who wants to go play in New Jersey? Who wants to play for an owner like Woody Johnson? Who wants to play for a team that never wins and doesn't have a quarterback? And so we have a lot of hands tied behind our back at any moment in time. And if you remember, that was reported, the Jets are close to getting Tyreek Hill, and everybody got all excited. And then his agent said, Now, his agent, of course, is Drew Rosenhaus. Where does Drew Rosenhaus live? You think Drew Rosenhaus, one of the biggest and best, let's put this over here, one of the biggest and best agents in the whole NFL, you think he lives in New Jersey? Where do you think Drew Rosenhaus lives? He lives in Miami. Oh, isn't that convenient? And he said, okay, Chris Greer, I got this trade with the Jets. They're very interested in my client named Tyreek Hill. Would you be interested, Mr. Greer and Mr. McDaniels? And, of course, they were interested, and they worked all through the night, got it done, got a trade that the Chiefs wanted to do, and then got the contract that Hill wanted, and bada bing, bada boom, there he goes, off to Miami, not coming to New Jersey. So, hey, that is one of the many reasons why we're going to have to draft and develop. And we have to draft well, and we're going to have to do better than we did in this last draft with the middle rounds. We did okay in the beginning, but we got to do better in the middle. We can't be trading up for people like Tyler Barron. That's just stupid. Because you need roster fillers. You need a lot of people to fill out your roster. Ant Jets is here. Good to see Ant Jets. 82. Good evening, sir. Good evening to you. How do you do? Now they're showing highlights of the Bills against us with Josh Allen with his broken nose, bloody nose. No problem. He doesn't matter. Nothing but palm trees. Yeah, think about it. No income tax, sunshine, beautiful women, Miami Beach. And on the other hand, New Jersey. Who the hell wants to go there? You can't even pump your own gas. It's ridiculous. I thought we didn't need wide receiver too. I was wrong. Well, I would like to be able to run the ball. I'm more concerned with the quarterback play. There were plenty of wide open receivers that our quarterback couldn't hit, or sometimes the wide receivers we did have did drop the ball, like Tyler Johnson, but I don't know. The wide receivers did okay game one. Let's not overreact to one game. The Buffalo Bills are much, much better than us. I don't know how many times I got to tell you guys that. Now, the Buccaneers are probably better. Well, they are better than us, but they're not much, much better. So if we can't hang with the Bucs or the Dolphins, then I'd say, all right, this entire thing, we need a total reset. But the Bills were always going to kill us. Their roster's like 10 times better than ours. We had no chance, really. Troll Rich. I always felt like Garrett Wilson was enough. Then we didn't even put B. Smitty. I knew I am not as concerned with the wide receivers as most people. Because most people, of course, view football through the lens of fantasy football and, betting, prop bets. To me, it's all about quarterback play. For the most part, offensive line, quarterback. There were plenty of plays to be made against the Bills that didn't really, that could have been made with the players we have. The quarterback, Justin Fields had one of the worst performances I've ever seen. And I've seen bad performances. And even for him, I've seen a lot of performances from Justin Fields, and that was really bad even for him. So I don't know what was going on. It was just a terrible game all around. So I'm not going to make broad statements too much about this team until I see what's up against the Bucs and the Dolphins. The Bills were always going to kill us. The Bills are just way, way, way better than we are. Let's see how the Bills do tonight. Now, this could be a trap game for the Bills also. If you think about it, they're 2-0. They got the Dolphins coming in at 0-2 on a short week. It's very possible that the Bills, overlook the Dolphins in a way. Looking forward to the mini bye. And So it's possible that the Bills have sort of like a letdown game here, but it is a divisional opponent. They do have Josh Allen, who, it's hard to imagine a team having a letdown game with Josh Allen under center these days, the way he's playing, nowadays. So we'll have to see about that. But it would be interesting if the Bills sort of crush the Dolphins. It'd be interesting for both sides. It'd be like, all right, the Bills really are that team, you know what I mean? And okay, maybe the Dolphins really are in trouble, like big trouble. So I think it's an interesting game on a lot of levels. It's somebody will lose, so it is a divisional game. Well, they could tie, I guess, but ties are pretty unusual. But someone probably will lose, and so a divisional opponent will have an additional loss, I guess is a way to say it. So we'll have to see. Yeah, the injury to Fields, very disappointing. Hopefully it's just a 1 week thing and he's back at it and we can see, what he's got the rest of the year, because that is really what this season is. It's let's see if Justin Fields can improve from his historical self. And if yes, then good. If no, then we're in the rookie quarterback situation where we're picking him out of the draft. So hopefully this doesn't keep him down too long. And out of all the injuries you could have, concussion's not great, but it's better than an ACL. It's better than Achilles. It's better than, something you could have. And you see a lot of these quarterbacks are starting to go down. I think 5 of them now are out across the league. So as the league sees more and more of these quarterbacks go out, you wonder, what they might do about it and what the Players Association might insist they do about it. Maybe more bye weeks. I would like to see grass fields myself mandated, but that's probably a pipe dream at this point. But that's the way it goes. For those who don't know, Todd says he's loving the FSPN sign. Yeah, this is FSPN, the Frankie Sports Programming Network, and also stands for FESPN. Screw those guys. Screw them. But Todd, if things start going, we had a live stream last week as well, but the game got out of hand and was really boring at the end, and I started playing music. You probably don't remember. People started bailing out on FSPN. So if that happens again, I had another logo made. How about K-Frank playing the music Frankie likes? So if the game gets really out of hand, we may switch it over to K-Frank and we'll turn it into a radio station. We'll play some music. Maybe we'll play some videos and make it like MTV used to be back in the day, where they would actually play videos of music songs. So we got that on deck, but for now, we'll stick with FSPN, the Frankie Sports Programming Network. Yeah, fire. But, because sometimes, it gets tiring. You're watching the game, you're keeping track, you're doing all the vocalizing, and then the game gets out of hand, and it's like, oh, boy, what am I supposed to do? Stay enthusiastic for this garbage? So we'll see what it brings. The thing to watch with the Dolphins, I think, is Tua and his happy feet in the pocket. If he's getting happy feet in the pocket, that is very, very bad for the Dolphins. But if he's doing back foot hits, ball comes out, that is very good for the Dolphins, and you'll see a very good offense. It's very simple. When Tua is trying to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, can't find anybody, it's trouble, because he's not very mobile and he doesn't have a strong arm. He's not one of these people who can just, off of one leg throw a laser down the field like a Caleb Williams. That's about all Caleb Williams can do, it seems like. But, he can't really do that. So if he's not on time, if the timing is off for whatever the reason, it's going to be a long night for Tua. So that's what to watch really with the Dolphins is really one thing. You could watch whether they get the run game going and all that, but I think in the passing game on 3rd and longs, what we're going to do is we are going to watch very carefully Tua in the pocket, 3rd and long. We know he's passing, And how does it look? Is he happy feet, happy feet, happy feet? Or is it back foot hits, ball comes out, boom? And that's what you want if you're a Dolphins fan, that is. Todd says, I hyped your video clips until they would not let me anymore. Well, I appreciate that, Todd. I have heard about hyping. I don't know exactly how it works, but if you're doing it, that's great. Ant Jets with the super chat. Thank you, Ant. Appreciate that. And for those who want to be on the leaderboard, you can give super chats and speak more frequently. And there's now a leaderboard on YouTube. By the way, there are YouTube changes coming down the line. There's about 30 new things coming to YouTube with regard to live streams and videos and things you can click and ways you can do things. So just be on the lookout in the coming days and weeks and months. There's going to be lots of new things on YouTube. Here's a return for the Dolphins. He gets to the outside, goes all the way to the 45, 50. Now he's on the plus side of the field. So that's D. Eskridge of the Dolphins with a really nice return to get them into good field position to start with. So that's a great way for Tua and the offense to start here. Good evening, JoJo. Well, I would say he's probably, here's JoJo's second comment. I doubt he's going to die, but you never know. Maybe. I mean, it's a little morbid, JoJo. A little morbid. All right, so now you got Tua under center, and they got 11 personnel on the field, and a man in motion right to left, and Tua fakes a handoff, play action, and rolls out, gets the ball to whoever that is for a short gain. Decent gain on first down. I think that's Taj Washington or somebody. So a little quick game to start off for the Dolphins. They do have Westbrook Achane. That's a guy I thought the Jets should pursue, but they did not. The tight end for the Dolphins is Tanner Connor. Tanner Connor. Boy, that would be someone I do not like. Now, it's 11 personnel, and you see Tanner Connor splitting out to the left, 3-by-1 formation. So this is almost certainly a pass. I thought no, but they go to the run, and look at the Bills. They stuff it just like they were stuffing our running game. So now it's third down, okay, just like we were talking about. Here it comes, third down. It's a passing situation. Going to be 11 personnel most likely, and we'll see what the Dolphins are up to, and we'll see what the Bills are able to do here. You heard some of the criticism of Tua from his old teammate Xavier Howard, saying if you take away his first read and kind of clog up the middle of the field, he kind of panics. So let's see, 3rd and 4, back foot hits, ball comes out. I don't know, looked like he was juggling it to me. I think he was juggling it. But you see the timing right there, and it looks like a completed pass, first down. But that's what you want for the Dolphins. Back foot hit, ball comes out. This is a simple out route by Tyreek. He doesn't need much space, throws it. I don't know. I think he's juggling it, man. Here's a replay. Juggle, catch. Nope, that's not a catch. Throw the flag, McDermott. I don't think that's a catch. Throw the flag. Oh, they're going to let him run a play. Holy smokes. I don't think that was not a catch. He was juggling. Now they throw a screen pass. This is a good play to the running back. A little delayed screen. That is a good play because you let all of the receivers go downfield, and then you swing it out to the running back. That's a nice design play for a gainer. So you see here the operation of the offense going well in the first possession here for the Dolphins. Everything on time, everything in rhythm, everything kind of working the way they wanted to. A lot of space out there for the running back. Achane designed delay. Very nicely done. And now they're at the plus 20-yard line, and Tua is 3 for 3 for 25 yards. This is exactly the kind of thing Dolphin fans would want to see. Now they hand the ball off to Achane right up the middle, only gains about a yard or two. Not great for a first down gainer. Buffalo here just trying to hold them to a field goal now. So we'll see what McDaniels dials up now that they're in the red zone. It becomes a lot harder, of course, when you're in the red zone, because the defense doesn't have to worry about the deep pass so much. Now, Hill is the other tight end they have, he's in the ball game now. So going almost exclusively with 11 personnel. But they've been running out of that occasionally as well. And here they do a play action. This is, I think that was a block in the back. How is that not a penalty? There it is. I mean, first of all, the catch by Hill was not a catch. They let it stand. This is clearly a block in the back. Or they're calling it illegal downfield. I mean, the dude blocked him in the back. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, they called illegal man downfield. I guess half a dozen of one, 6 or the other. And that's a penalty I hate. I hate the ineligible man downfield. I hate this penalty so much. This is such a stupid penalty. I wish they would just get rid of it. I don't even understand why it's in there. There's about 50% of the rule book I would get rid of. These referees just have way too much to look for. All right, now here's a running play. Skips out to the outside. That's a nice gainer by Achane. Saw some good lateral mobility by Achane there. The middle was all clogged up, so jump skip to the right, and boom, there you go. 8 or 9 yards, close to the first down. Good job by 28. So now it's 3rd and 1. So Buffalo's really going to have a stop here. But so far on this scripted drive, and remember the first drives are always scripted, so that's going to be the best drive usually for an offense for the day if it knows what it's doing. And there goes their second back. Who's that? Jeff Wilson or somebody? Yeah. No, I don't know who that is. But good blocking up front. Man, 42 just took a wrong angle there. And he got beat. He didn't get into the hole quick enough. Safety's not coming up quick enough. So good job by the Dolphins on this initial drive. Now they got the tight end in the backfield. This is 21 personnel here with the fullback Ingold in the game. So they're going to try to bulk it out here, looks like. And that didn't go too well. So Gordon. Oh, Ollie Gordon. That's their rookie. Ollie Gordon, 31. So they got some good running backs, the Dolphins do. And we'll have to see if the rest of the game looks like the first drive. Because a lot of times the scripted first drive is the best drive you're going to have. It's the one they've been thinking about all week. It's scripted. Everybody knows what's going to happen. Less thinking, more doing. And so this drive has looked pretty good for the Dolphins, but we'll have to see if they're able to keep it up. A little motion outside, fake over there. Now Tua with the happy feet a little bit, but comes back to his receiver over there, and he gets plowed down around the 2-yard line. Now it's going to be 3rd and goal. Interesting play there. Almost like a design delay. But whoever had that flat, oh, I see. Yeah, it was a well-designed play, actually. Put the man in conflict, and whichever way he goes, you hit the opposite one. Nice levels concept, sort of. I liked it. But now it's 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. You wonder if they don't make this, will they go for the field goal or the touchdown? They hand it up the middle, but it doesn't matter because he got in. That is a touchdown. So first drive, they get a touchdown. So that's a lot more than we could say for what we were able to do against this Buffalo team. So, so far, was he down? I don't think so. So far, so good for the Miami Dolphins. Looking good. Maybe the Bills aren't so infallible after all. Now, interesting thing is if the Dolphins put up a lot of points today, that would be 2 out of 3 games where the Bills defense gave up a lot of points, and then we were the one where they didn't, of course. So, that would tell you maybe the Bills have a little problem. Maybe it wasn't just, and that was a missed tackle by Joey Bosa. I don't know what happened there. How did he miss that tackle? He doesn't miss tackles against us. Only the Dolphins, I guess. But if that's the case, and we that doesn't speak well to us. But that's just the first drive so far. We'll have to see how it goes. Yeah, this is how I wanted our drive to be. Exactly. Yeah. Well, it didn't work out. I guess McDaniels had a better plan. Edutain me. I'm watching because I thought it would be 100-0. Nah. Well, if this continues, edutain, then yeah. But our team isn't good. I don't know. I'm not sure why people thought our team was good. I told you guys all summer that the roster wasn't good enough, and you didn't believe me. Now you're seeing it. But it's just one drive. Again, like we were talking about, edutain me. It's just one drive. If they keep it up, and that's the scripted drive, so that's the one that's the most likely to do well. So if they keep this up, though, and they put up a lot of points against the Bills, yeah, it does say something bad about our team. But then again, our team can be bad. What I said on the offense for our team is it depends on how good Fields is, good or bad, and it depends how good or bad the offensive line is. And if the offensive line isn't as good as we think, and if Fields takes a step back, for example, instead of improving, then we're in trouble. So it is what it is. I mean, at least you know with Tua what you got. You know what he's good at. You know what he's bad at. You try to maximize what he's good at and try to minimize his weaknesses. In the games that they do that, they can put up a lot of points, as we've seen in the McDaniels era. He can put up a lot of points when he's, really hitting on the things he's good at, which there are many things he is good at. But he's somewhat limited, and so in games where you need him to do some of the things he's not good at, well, that's when it goes south for the Dolphins. I do think the Dolphins got a break. They got to play in Buffalo in, September. So now they're not going to have to play in Buffalo late in the season when it's 1,000,000 degrees below zero. So that's something that was a break for the Dolphins in terms of scheduling. As we all know, Tua has problems in the cold. McDaniels on the hot sheet, yeah. Well, the owner came out and said he's not, but, who knows? He said, I'm going to be patient. And they take the ball out to the 30-yard line. Codrington, former Jet. So here comes Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense. Let's see if they look as good as they did against us, or better, or worse. Yeah, JoJo, we talked about it every Sunday. For those who haven't joined us on Sundays at 10 a.m., JoJo's frequently there. Sundays, 10 a.m., Coffee with Frankie. We talk about all this stuff all off season, during the season, all the time, every week. Now there's a flag. Of course, there's got to be a flag. There's way too many flags in these games. But yeah, I showed you the roster and I said, these people are not good enough. Unnecessary roughness. I guess, I don't know. There's way too many flags. If you watch college football, they don't throw as many flags. Well, told by who, edutain? I was telling you. This is what you got to be careful where you get your information, edutain. That was a risky pass. Looking for a flag. Oh, there is a flag. How did we go months being told they were good? Well, who told you? You got to go back and look who told you, edutain. I keep telling you about the mainstream media. If you follow me on X, I'm constantly dunking on the mainstream media. Yeah, that's a foul. Zach Rosenblatt wrote a whole article about, don't worry, when the free agency period started, and I was complaining, and a lot of people were complaining that we're not doing enough. We could have, and Brandon Stevens was a terrible signing and all this. And he wrote a whole article saying, don't worry, Jet fans. The Jets aren't, signing top tier free agents, but that's okay because the coaching staff is going to fix all these broken players. Like, really? A first-time head coach, Dre Bly, who has very little experience, Charles Harris, who nobody's ever heard of. They're gonna and Steve Wilkes, who keeps getting fired all the time. They're gonna turn around people that the Baltimore Ravens didn't want and things like that. Like, come on. But Zach Rosenblatt tried to get you to believe those things at that time, and of course now the tables have turned, of course, and the people like Zach Rosenblatt have been given permission to take Aaron Glenn out. So there goes James Cook. And so you're going to start seeing a lot more negative articles written and videos made by the mainstream media about how Aaron Glenn is not so hot. And one of the reasons for that is if you act the way he does with the media bites back. You know, they don't let you get away with it. They don't like being mocked and made fun of because they're supposed to be the authority figures, the media, the mainstream media. So if you take them to task, it's all well and good, but then they're going to come back on you. That's how it works. All right, Bills moving the ball now. They're at the plus 45-yard line. Here's another handoff to Cook. Great. That was amazing offensive line play there. They opened up a huge hole. The Dolphins not able to get much push on the defensive line. This one might be another barn burner. Zach Sealer has been not having really a great season so far as I understand it. They do have their guys back, Chubb and Phillips. They have 5 men on the line, and they still couldn't contain the running game. And they had another man rushing in as well, and couldn't. And so the offensive line of the Bills was just killing them there. Here's another handoff to Cook. He's got the ball in the wrong hand, but that's okay. Gets it to the 30-yard line. Ashton Davis, number 21 on the field, former Jet. If you want to track former Jets, you got Ty Johnson on the Bills. You got Ashton Davis on the Dolphins. The Buccaneers today picked up Dan Feeney. If you remember Dan Feeney, they picked him up because they're having offensive line problems. So it'll be a Dan Feeney revenge game. Allen now looking 2nd and 7, 5:46 remaining in the first quarter. They're at the plus 30-yard line. They're in 11 personnel, 2-by-2 formation. Allen from the shotgun finds his tight end Kincaid, gets past Ashton Davis. Bad tackle by Davis. Sound familiar? And gets a first down. So both teams so far in their opening drive, hot knives through butter in terms of the offense through the defense. And boy, do the Buffalo Bills use Jackson Hawes a lot. Look, 85's on the field again, 12 personnel. Man, I wanted to get that guy in the draft. And the Bills were smart enough to snatch him up. Blocking tight ends are worth their weight in gold. Gold, my friends. But we got the fullback and the blocking tight end right now. So they're making it look like heavy personnel. Now they've got an audible at the line of scrimmage. And they do run the ball with the aforementioned Ty Johnson, former Jet. Even with those big boys, they couldn't get much that time. About a 1-yard gain there. So 2nd and 9. Shady Joe Brady is the offensive coordinator for the Bills. You see all the other people in the booth. You ever wonder what those other people are doing in the booth? What are they doing? So now Allen is in the shotgun again, surveying. 2nd and 9. Looks like we got 11 personnel, I believe. That's an interesting looking play. Ooh, it was almost an interception. Instead, it's a touchdown. Nice hands by Mr. Kincaid. You need some aid with your kink? You call Mr. Kincaid. So they go right down the field and score the touchdown. So this may be a defense optional game. So far, so good for both teams' offenses. The defense is no bueno. That was an interesting play. They had a man in the flat, faked it to him, and then hit it in the honey hole for Kincaid, who made it look like he was blocking. Pass was off target a bit, but the good hands of Kincaid, and he's got it. And the extra point up and good. So 7-7. Offensive fireworks. Matthew Judon is also on the Dolphins. Wow, I didn't realize that. See, but at least they signed people who, they needed extra pass rush, and they're signing people like Matthew Judon. We could have signed Matthew Judon. Jojo says, is Jermaine Johnson playing? Well, Clemens won't be playing the whole game. No. No defensive lineman plays the whole game, except maybe Max Crosby. But this, so we'll call up Eric Watts. He'll get some playing time, unfortunately. So Jermaine Johnson did not practice either Wednesday or Thursday. So unless he shows dramatic improvement tomorrow, it's looking like Jermaine's going to miss the game. So Michael Clemens, what will happen is Michael Clemens will start for sure. And then the backups will be Braden McGregor and we'll call up Eric Watts from the practice squad. And that's not good. And this is what we talked about all summer, JoJo. It's like we said, the edge position is of a dire need. And, one injury and you're dealing with Michael Clemens and Eric Watts and Braden McGregor. I mean, what the hell's going on here? And the Jets just refuse to address it. What I'm hoping is that, listen, Aaron Glenn's a rookie. Darren Muji's a rookie. I'm hoping that the second time around they do roster construction better than the first time around, because it wasn't very good, and I called it at the time, and I told you guys exactly what was going on. Now, to their credit, they did fix defensive tackle. We had a lot of conversations about defensive tackle, and they made 2 good trades, better late than never. But edge, safety, Brandon Stevens, these were all things that we talked about ad nauseum over the summer that were problems, and the coaching staff insisted it was not. And we didn't acquire anybody that we could have. We could have acquired Zadarius Smith and Jadeveon Clowney and a number of other people, and we just refused to do so. And so now you're seeing some of the problems that go along with having a subpar roster. And we had plenty of cap space, so that wasn't the problem. We could have certainly afforded multiple folks and still been under the cap, no problem. So hopefully, we just have to hope this is a learning experience for them. What do you want me to tell you? You hire people without experience. What can you really expect? Zach Rosenblatt, wanted to tell you that this was the greatest coaching staff of all time. And it's like, no, these are rookies and neophytes. Steve Wilkes is experienced. We do have some coaches with a lot of experience. And as the ball gets taken out to about the 32, 33-yard line. Flag on the play, of course. There's got to be a flag on the play. Otherwise, why are we playing football if every play doesn't have a penalty associated with it? But, this was all predictable. And let's just hope that the people named Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji and the scouts and everybody, let's all just hope they needed a year to get under their belt, and next year the roster construction is going to look a lot better. I don't know what to tell you. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. How are they going to evaluate quarterbacks? If they couldn't tell that Michael Clemens and Braden McGregor and Eric Watts weren't good enough, and that there were people out on the street waiting to get a job that were much better that we could have signed, if they couldn't figure that out, how are they going to figure out which one of these college quarterbacks is the right one to choose if we need to go that way, if it's not Justin? That's what really worries me. All right, now let's see this second drive. Let's see if Buffalo adjusts any. And this is, of course, the non-scripted drive. So let's see how Tua looks here. Back foot hit, ball comes out. Still off target there a little bit. That's a little bitty receiver, Washington. He looks kind of short there. How tall is he? 5'8"? I don't know, but that was not a good pass by Tua, even though it came out quick. So, his ball's got to come out quick, but it's also got to come out accurate. And in that case, no bueno. So, 2nd down and 10. Joey Bosa not on the field, getting instruction from a coach of some kind. course, the Bills are shorthanded as well. Ed Oliver not in the game, and Matt Milano, their great linebacker, not in the game due to injury. Here's a run up the middle, and that's Achane with a nice little gainer, but should be third and about 6 or 7. And so we'll see how they do on this money down. Oh, 3rd and 5. They gave him 5 yards on that. Wow. But still, 3rd and 5, pretty much a passing situation. Let's see what the Dolphins are able to come up with. Now, they have been doing a decent job on 1st and 2nd down, and they haven't really been 3rd and long. This would be 3rd and medium. So that's good. Now they had a bunch formation. Now they got a stack on the right, 2 by 2. Tua in the shotgun. Oh, my God, he fumbles the snap, and now he's running. Oh, boy. Anytime Tua starts running, you worry. But he avoided the sack, which was good, but he only picked up a couple of yards, and now they got a punt. So that, you couldn't tell exactly what was going to happen. He fumbled the snap. It looked like a good snap. There's really no reason he's looking at it. It's a good snap. I don't know. This is all on Tua. Can't ask for better than that. And it's Fumbalaya. He made the best of it. All right, so here's a punt. So that's something you definitely don't want to do. You cannot make mistakes against Josh Allen. He will usually make you pay. This is a nice punt return. And again, we had this guy, Brandon Codrington. We just couldn't possibly keep him on the roster. The backup, as they just showed a shot of the sideline, the backup for Tua, of course, is Zach Wilson. And if Zach Wilson does come into this game, you guys are going to notice that he's done something a little different with how he throws the ball. But we'll save that for in case he does come in case it's a blowout or anything like that. Maybe they'll put Zachy Wilson in there, and you might see something a little different about how he throws the ball. Well, in terms of AG being hired, we had no choice, really. Who else could we have hired, Edutain me? So I think AG was a good hire, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie. You can't expect rookie head coaches, really, unless they have some incredibly great situation, like they inherit a great quarterback or something. You can't really expect them to just nail everything right off the bat. It was going to take him a second. But don't forget, we wanted Mike Vrabel. Vrabel would have come here, but for the Patriot job opening up, and then, of course, he wanted to go there. As soon as the Patriot job opened up and they fired Gerard Mayo, I said, okay, there goes Vrabel. That's the one we really wanted, if you remember. But out of all the other candidates, all the hot candidates, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, all the people, they told us in advance, no, thank you. We don't even want to interview, no, thank you, because they didn't want to come to a team with a bad owner and with no quarterback. So, out of all the available choices and the people who wanted to come here, AG was the choice. But at the same time, he is a rookie, and he's a defensive coach. So he's got a couple of things working against him right now. So what we as fans have to hope is that he improves the second cycle around. That's the way we got to think about it. Hopefully he and Muji both improve. Muji didn't have his whole staff here. So hopefully the people he hired are going to be better than the ones he had before. The GM can't do everything. He needs his scouts. He needs his personnel people. He needs his people. And hopefully he does better this cycle with free agents, and not just signing big free agents, but value free agents. I keep talking about the $12 million we gave to Brandon Stevens. Instead of that $12 million to Brandon Stevens, what we could have done instead is kept Brandon Echols and Tyler Conklin and gotten a defensive tackle, and we would have had a 4th-round comp pick, because that signing was so large by the Jets, it canceled out the Javon Kinlaw comp pick that we should have gotten. So we got one Brandon Stevens instead of getting 3 players and a draft pick for the same price. And that's just bad general managering, no matter how good Brandon Stevens, unless Brandon Stevens turns out to be an all-pro or something. That's just bad general managering. It's bad roster management. You could have improved your team on three positions and gotten a 4th-round pick for next year. I mean, for the same cost. And That's the sort of thing, because when you start talking about this, a lot of the fans will say, well, what did you want us to do? Splurge on free agents like we did with Le'Veon Bell and all these other people when we did splurging? No, you don't have to splurge. You just have to be smart. Here's Elijah Moore being used smartly by the Bills. And you see Elijah Moore now. One of the things that we always wanted him to do when he was here was more of these gadget plays. And so the Bills figured out, hey, Elijah can do this. Elijah Moore and Ty Johnson in the backfield for the for the Bills. Guys we couldn't figure out what to do with. So suddenly the Bills figure out how to use them to get first downs and make plays. So now there's 13 personnel on the field, and they're throwing out of it. Allen looking down the field. Oh, my God, that should have been an interception, but Ashton Davis was involved, so it wasn't. But holy smokes, that was kind of like a cool concept, but that was a risky throw. But it's Josh Allen, so he got it in there. He used his 1,000-mile-an-hour pass. Oh, actually, it wasn't that risky. It looked risky on first. Actually, it wasn't that risky. I take it back. Take it back. Take it back. That was a safe throw. And he put it right where it needed to be. A lot of the problem with Fields the other day, he just didn't put the ball where it needed to be. It was too behind the play. You can't throw behind. And here's Ty Johnson getting 4 or 5 yards on a first down. Very useful. And that should take us to the end of the first quarter. But interesting, they're throwing out of 13 personnel. I love that. Put in your 13 personnel, make them go big, and then throw out of it. Love it. And when you have a Kincaid and a Knox, for that matter, guys, are they going to run up? They're not going to run this play. No. End of the quarter. So there, when you have guys who can catch it, and we have a guy like that. His name's Mason Taylor. We could do the same. And we have Stone Smart as well. This is something we have not run one, you guys should know. We haven't run one play out of 13 personnel. Noise the hell out of me. We have Mason Taylor. We have Jeremy Ruckert. We have Stone Smart. We could put them in the game together and make the other team bring their bigs, bring their heavies, and then you throw out of it. Mason Taylor and Stone Smart are like big wide receivers. There's no reason why we can't just do something similar to what the Bills just ran, but we have not. Tony Alexio's here, the Tony Alexio package. Secondary is useless. Well, so far it has been, yeah. Let's give it time, though. Well, before we get into the firings of people, let's just give it some time. I do want to give it some time. I know nobody wants to hear that, of course, but I would say let's give it some time. JoJo, this might be Buffalo's year. Yeah. Well, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender no matter what, JoJo, regardless of their schedule. I mean, they just have just look at the team. Remember when we did the analysis of all the blue chippers and red chippers, JoJo, and all that? They had the most by far, if you remember. Yeah, we need better scouts. You remember, Tony, I've been yelling about this. We need better pro personnel scouts. It's important. The pro personnel, maybe the signs are like, Briggs and Phillips. Those were smart moves. And those were some of the first moves that Muji's made with his people in place. So maybe we could be a little bit optimistic that those are the types of moves that we make. Those were smart moves. Didn't cost us a lot. And we got 2 quality players that we needed. Are they all pros? No. But better than what we had and didn't cost a lot. So those were good, cost-effective moves. And those were the first moves that we made, really, with the new staff in place. So, we're probably reaching a bit to try and find something optimistic so far this season. But this includes, and this is something I would harp on all the time, if you remember, Tony. We need better pro personnel scouts. You need to be able to scout the league and know who's on the fringes of rosters, who's on practice squads that could potentially help us. All right, 2nd down and 6 now. Start of the second quarter. Allen from the shotgun hands it off to Cook. He makes his way. Now they're pushing him. This should be illegal, but now it's going to be 3rd and about 2, so he picked up about 5 yards there. And they're showing some of the mechanical stuff that Allen's doing that has made him what he is today. I also tried to explain this to people. They tried to give credit to Brian Daboll and this one and that. I was like, no, he fixed his mechanics. The improvement of Josh Allen is almost 100% because of Josh Allen doing that work to improve his mechanics. All right, 3rd down and 2. They hand the ball off to Cook. Get a hand on him, but he breaks a tackle or two, and that's a 1st down. So the Dolphin defense has not looked any better than our defense so far. And the Buffalo offensive line has been pushing them around. The Dolphins had one good drive. That was the first drive, and then the second drive only was 3 and out because Tua fumbleayed the snap, and so we couldn't get to see what play they were running or going to run. And now here's Buffalo with their second drive. Long drives we've had, except for that one with the fumbleaya, we've had long drives chewing up the clock. So this is only the second drive by the Bills, and again they're at the plus 20-yard line. Allen back to pass, looks toward the right end zone. He's got a man, and it's off his hands. Kincaid again, who had the touchdown in the first drive, had that ball in his hands and dropped it. So that's an excellent pass by Allen. Ashton Davis in coverage was right there, but ball went right over his head. And Kincaid should catch this. Let's make sure. Yeah, he should catch it. I mean, not the easiest catch in the world, but still, you're a first-round pick. You got to catch the ball. Sorry, Mr. Kincaid. And man in motion now. 2nd down and 10. Allen from the shotgun looking to pass. Throws over the middle. He's got a man. It's Khalil Shakir. Gets the ball to the 11-yard line. Fighting. Goes down about the 10 or 11-yard line. And about 1 yard short of a first down. So it'll be 3rd down and short. Clock continues to run. And it's been long drives except for that one. So, if it goes this way, it continues to go this way, the Bills may only get 3 or 4 drives in the whole first half, which is a little unusual. On average, you get about 10 drives per game on offense, on average. So now Allen is under center. They got 12 personnel in there, and they bring the wide receiver in, and they throw out of it Keon Coleman one-on-one on the outside. That's a nice play design right there. Make them think you're going to run. Throw it to your big, tall guy on the outside when you only need a yard or two. The cornerback's off, so it's perfect. Good job by Allen. Good execution. Perfect first down. Not a great ball coming out of his hand. Doesn't need to be. Just needs to be gotten out of there quickly. And Coleman grabs it. First down. Now it's 1st and goal as the drive continues. I like the look of that play. I like the way that they're really mixing up the personnel groupings and what you might expect them to do and then what they actually do. Here's another 13 set. I believe. Yeah, because they have the extra offensive lineman in there. He functions like a tight end. Anderson, I think his name is. So they continue to be creative. Gotta love it. Tony Alexia, you gotta come up with a new package, my friend. What about the Brady Cook package? What about the Cook package? Brady Cook's gonna be active this weekend, by the way. He's gonna get called up from the practice squad. We need a backup quarterback. So what about the Cookerino package? How about that, Alexio? What's Brady cooking? How about that? Yeah, well, the problem with Stevens is you paid him 12. You could have paid Eccles 4. That's the difference. And you still could have had A.Z. Thomas, and you could have let A.Z. Thomas and Eccles battle it out for the starting position. Whoever wins, wins. But you didn't need to pay 12 for badness when you could have paid 4 for, decentness. Here's Allen scrambling, running, throwing. He does it all. A flip to Hawes. There's my man, Jackson Hawes. That's going to haunt me. That fact that we didn't pick Jackson Hawes. I wanted him so badly. And the Bills freaking took him. And he's blocking and he's catching touchdowns. And he's doing this and that. God damn it. Yeah, but the point is not that Eccles over Stevens. The point is, how much did you pay for these things? You got to take into account the cost. And if you signed Eccles for 4, you could have had Tyler Conklin for 4, and he would have been. We needed him in the tight end room. Would have improved the tight end room, and you could have signed a defensive tackle for 4 or 5. So you get 3 positions on the roster upgraded, and for the same cost and a 4th-round pick. That's the problem. It's not that Brandon Eccles is some great player. You're not really. He's a backup probably. But the point is, then you could have just drafted A.Z. Thomas and let him start. Eccles is a nice backup, and now you got a better tight end room, you got a better defensive tackle room, and you get an extra draft pick. But instead, we got one of the worst corners in the league for the same cost. Stupid. That's terrible general managering. And I said it at the time. And I said, I don't want to be right, but it's looking like I'm right now. I'm going to give it some time. Maybe maybe Stevens will be fine. I don't know. I'm going to give it some time before we make the final call. But so far, it's very annoying when the fans know something and the GM does not. That is super annoying. Super duper annoying. Jeremy's here. Jets Chaos Man. Our kicker is perfect. Perfectamundo. Yeah, I guess. What does that have to do with anything? We would have had him regardless. Have Mo is here. TRB Smitty was great in the A-Mart. Will they ever call up B Smitty? Can I get a man called up? Can I get a man active? Can I get my man active? Can I get him active? Can he get one game? All he does is get open and catch the ball. Or who needs that on your team? When you could have Tyler Johnson dropping passes on the sideline. You could have Alan Lazard, the man with the most drops in the league last year. Who needs a guy who gets open and catches passes at a wide receiver position? Jeez. The chaos package. No, we need a Brady Cook package, Alexio. What about the Brady Cook package? The Brady Bunch package. Brady is cooking package. How about that? We need a package, JoJo. We definitely need a package. Brady Cook, he's going to be up this week. So he gets us a little extra money. Troll Rich, we need to draft. Yeah, but what if we have to draft a quarterback? Troll Man. If we have to draft a quarterback in the first round, guess what? Not all of them, but a lot of the best ones will be gone. If we have to take a quarterback next year, then probably round 2 has to go wide receiver. But then, we still need edge players. There's a lot of things we need. That's another thing about poor roster construction. When you do it wrong one year, it affects, the next few years. Just ask the Dolphins. The Dolphins lost draft picks because of sanctions, because of tampering. They lost a first-round pick. Imagine what would happen if the NFL took away our first-round pick. We'd be rioting at the NFL offices in New York City. Edutane says, I have a sauce package. It says mustard. A little too much mustard on it. All right, now Tua takes the ball. Here's a little play action. They have been using play action. Tua rolls to his left, fires. Incomplete, though. Yeah, I don't think having Tua roll to his left is really what you want. This is not a good play design in my opinion. This is one of the things that Tua does not excel at. Really, this is like a Caleb Williams special or a Josh Allen special. Spatial. But Tua, you want to keep him in the pocket, McDaniels, and let him rhythm and timing, buddy. Rhythm and timing, my friend. Rhythm and timing is the thing with Tua, man. To a man, everyone will tell you that. Oh, here comes a blitz. Blitzorama, but they pick it up. Oh, okay, they got a good answer. Achane. Oh, but that's not going to go very far. Good tackle. Okay, step away. Don't want a flag. Let's not get penalties. Nobody wants to see the flags fly. Let's go. So third down now. Now here again, here's the money down. Let's see what McDaniels and Tua come up with here. 3rd and 9. They know you're going to pass. We know you're going to pass. You know you're going to pass. Can you pass? That's really the question here. On the road, hard to hear, all those things. Let's see what Tua and McDaniels come up with here on the money down. Can they get another drive going? Tua in the shotgun, 2-by-2 formation, little bit of motion. Now he's got to scramble to his left, and no bueno. So, again, that is not what you want to see if you're a Dolphin fan. So as we brought up in the beginning of the game, if Tua is not back foot hits, ball comes out all the time, especially on your money downs like this, then it's trouble, problems. And here he had to flush all the way to his left. You do not want him to have to do that. It is not his strong suit. And you see what happens. No bueno. So after the first drive, the other two drives, no bueno. And now the third drive for the Bills. The Bills have had 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. That's 100%. That's no good either for the Dolphins defense. So we'll see if they can go 3 for 3 with Josh the Alien Allen. Don't want none of those quarterbacks in the draft. Well, there's some good ones in the draft. I mean, you never really know, troll man. But there should be some good ones anyway. A guy I got my eye on is Fernando Mendoza. Now, we got to see. I'm not 100% sold on him, but I got my eye on him. I got my eye on Drew Aller. I got my eye on a few of the guys. Some of the people is a definite no. Some of the people is a definite maybe. But there's only so many places you could go to get a quarterback, Troll Rich. You got the draft, and you got free agency, and you got trades. Who else are we going to get? You want to trade for Tua? What do you want to do? You want to bring Derek Carr out of retirement? What do you want to do, Troll Rich? You got to go to the draft at some point. Let's hope that Justin Fields just had a terrible game against the Bills, and when he comes back, everything's straight and he's a superstar. Let's hope so. So, I mean, there's only so many places quarterbacks exist. And at some point in the next 100 years, we got to get lucky and get one. You know, the Bears are saying the same thing. The Browns are saying the same thing. You know, at some point we got to get lucky with these people. Yeah. Better off getting a better receiver for who? For Fields? What if Fields is terrible, troll man? I guess there's a world where Fields is okay, and then you have a decision to make, right? If he's bad, then it's obvious we got to get a quarterback. If he's great, then it's obvious we stick with Fields. What if he's in the middle? Yeah, then we got to make a decision, and we'll have all those arguments. Fields can be here next year as a backup. He can be a backup if he stinks. Yeah, it's scary for a Dolphins fan if he's scrambling to his left and he's running around. You don't want Tua running. Tua running is a bad idea. Josh Allen running is a good idea. Jojo, I've seen enough of Fields. Yeah, well. Well, troll man, tell me how, you would have to watch the all-22 footage. We had plenty of open receivers. Fields didn't hit him, so. Aller's my guy. Yeah, so Aller's on my radar. Fernando Mendoza's on my radar. Some people are getting crossed off as the season goes along. I'm crossing off Sellers for now. I think Sellers could be good, but I think he's going to have to go back to school. He's too young and inexperienced. He needs more seasoning. Same thing with Arch Manning. Some guys are getting crossed off. I don't like Taylon Green. Some people like Taylon Green. I do not. Trollman says, I want to stay with Fields. Well, we're going to stay with Fields this year. But if he's terrible, we're not staying with him, Trollman. We got to see what happens. This year's about what happens with him. If he's bad, he becomes a backup. There goes James Cook. Oh, there he goes down the field to the plus 40-yard line. So this Dolphin defense is playing no bueno at all. So this makes me feel a little better right now about our defense, at least. Maybe the Bills are just that good. Look at this offensive line. Wow. I do, and plus Jackson Hawes, man, that Jackson Hawes is going to haunt me for the rest of my days. Look at this Jackson Hawes. Get out of here. Look at him, man. And we got Tyler fucking Barron. Stupid. I love Jackson Hawes. All right, Josh Allen back to pass. Bouncy. Oh, my goodness. That was craziness. That was an alien play. I mean, it was going to be hard catch for his running back, but still, who else would have thrown it like that? Crazy. Of course, if he made that kind of a play against us, a guy would catch it, Davis. If you remember last year, I think it was Davis made some kind of circus catch against us. Yeah, just our luck. All right, now 2nd and 10. Can the Dolphins get a stop? They run a nice screen for Coleman. Gets about 9 yards, not too shabby. So it'll be 3rd and short, probably in field goal range. They're on the verge of field goal range. On the verge. On the verge of field goal range with Shady Joe Brady. All right. This is probably field goal range, I would guess. But it's 3rd and 2, so it's probably 4-down territory if you think about it. When you have a Josh Allen. Allen back to pass, throws it out towards Shakir, and that's a 1st down and much, much more. A very nice play, 3rd and short, a little misdirection, a little passity pass. Wide open, bada bing, bada boom. So the Bills are really looking like, again, we said maybe this will be a game where they overlook, the opponent, maybe one of those type of games, but no, they're looking sharp as hell so far. And this is a nice little play to, Shavers. Shavers is a tight end, wide receiver, hybrid kind of guy. Was on their practice squad. Now all of a sudden he's good. It's not Shakir, it's Shavers. Good little player they got off the practice squad, and he's contributing now. Yeah. But that's what happens when when you have somebody down injured. When you have a really good team and you just ask somebody to, do 1 or 2 things, make their life easy. All I got to do is 1 or 2 things? Okay. The Dodester is here. Alan Dodes is a member of the Inner Circle. And folks should really consider joining the Inner Circle. You get exclusive videos, you get exclusive documents, exclusive everything. Tony Alexico, Aller. Aller's definitely one of the people we're keeping an eye on. Aller. Right now, Aller and Mendoza are probably my top 2, but I haven't seen everybody. There's a lot of them, man. So we'll see. And plus, we got to let the whole year play out. Everybody thought Arch Manning was going to be great this year. No, nah. Alan Dodes, the Josh Allen run around and do stuff offense equals good. Tua run around and do stuff offense equals hospital. Yeah, you don't have the same offense for Tua that you have for Josh Allen. No. The Josh Allen run around and do stuff offense is unique to Josh Allen. Nobody else should really have this, really. So Tua is really the stay in the pocket and everything timing and rhythm based. And don't move out of the pocket. They've been moving him around out of the pocket too much. That's not what he does. Everyone had Haas mocked to the Jets. Well, I don't know about everyone. I don't know what other people do. I don't know. Who else was talking about it, JoJo? Was Green Bean? Green Bean probably had him on the radar, I would suspect. But I don't know who else did. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, we trade up for Tyler Barron. I mean, we give up draft capital for Tyler Barron, a guy nobody'd ever heard of. Bialy, 66. Finn's pretty thin in secondary. Their defense is looking terrible, has looked terrible in all the games so far. So I mean, it's still early, but they haven't been able to stop the Bills yet, and they're driving again toward another touchdown, and another guy went down 33. I don't know who that is, but it's one of their secondary players. And yeah, they're thin in the secondary for sure. Storm Duck is out. Artie Burns is out. Kader Kohu is out. And when you're relying on Storm Duck to begin with, you got troubles. All right, now it's 1st and 10 from the 16-yard line. Allen in the shotgun. We got a tight formation here with a fullback and 2 tight ends. So they throw it out to Cook, and that's a nice tackle by Ashton Davis. All right, good job, Ashton. They do have Ashton Davis, so, I mean, that's something. And now another player down. Oh, boy. Who's this? Looks like another secondary player. Soon they're going to be calling on Jets Chaos to play defensive back for these people. Mike McDaniels looks bewildered. 23. I don't know who that is. McDaniels looks like he's stoned. Jack Jones. Oh, yeah, Jones. Coming through. Boy, that you saw what happened to Xavier Worthy on a play like that. Ooh. Colliding with a tight end. No bueno. Now they got a guy named Bonner in there, whoever that is. Number 27. Hope he knows what he's doing. Buffalo. Yeah. Welcome to the NFL, Bonner. You can play against Josh Allen and Khalil Shakir and all these people. And here's well, I just got it back to the line of scrimmage. So that running play didn't work. Really, you probably, at this point, you got to let the Josh Allen run around and do stuff play go. Because this is where it's needed. Marshall, number 33, I don't even know who that is. Marshall had to go out. So 3rd and 8 from the 13. This is where you let the Josh Allen run around and do stuff offense. You let it flow. Don't give the ball to the running back. Nope. And a good pass rush. Good lane integrity on the pass rush, and they got him. All right, so the Finns do get a good pass rush on an obvious passing down, but they're still in field goal range and should be able to pick up at least a field goal here. So this is just good lane integrity, I think. They kind of got lucky. They always say that when they get the sack, they say good lane integrity, but if Allen just went to his right behind the right tackle at first, then they would have said, oh, no lane integrity. Allen just ran the wrong way. It's all the same. Green Bean and Will Parkinson. Well, that would be one of the first things. Oh, my goodness. He missed the field goal by 1,000,000 feet. Well, if Will Parkinson was saying that, I give him credit. That would be one of the first smart things he said. Well, at least he knew that much. Yeah, that's all that Jackson Hawes does, JoJo. I mean, he can catch the ball, as you've seen. He doesn't drop it when you throw it to him, but he's not Kincaid in terms of route running and pass catching. But he's a blocking tight end. Yeah, that's the reason you get him, and that's why it's a perfect pick late in the draft. Because late in the draft, what are you going to get? If you're picking an edge player late in the draft, what are the odds that he's good? The edge players go early. But if you pick a guy who does, tight end blocking, that's a role on your team that's very important, but is not highly sought after. Those guys don't go early in the draft. So use your late draft picks to be role players. This was one of the worst kicks I've ever seen. So the Dolphins get a little bit of hope. They're only down one score here, even though that should have been a field goal and really was close to being another touchdown. The Dolphins avoid disaster, and now Tua and the crew can put together a drive. They're still right in the game. And that's the interesting thing about all this. The Bills have had 3 possessions, and they only have 14 points. Because of how much time these drives have taken off the clock, there's only 5 minutes left in the whole quarter. The Dolphins are only down 7. They've played pretty poorly outside of that first drive, but because of a missed field goal, they're only down 7, and they could very easily tie it up on this drive. So they've been able to hang in there. And so here's a running play by Achane off the left side. They're trying to pull him. That should totally be illegal. I mean, one thing that should be illegal is pushing and pulling players. That's so stupid. But I think next year they're definitely going to outlaw the tush push and the pushing and pulling players. The Fins, I don't know. The Fins are TBD. If you remember what I said in the summertime when we looked at the players, they had more average or better players than we did. We had the fewest, but it was relatively close to the Dolphins. So I don't know. I still don't know what we are yet. We gotta see over the next couple of games. We can't judge ourselves right now because everybody thinks we're the worst team of all time because we had a terrible, terrible game against the Bills. So you can't judge off of that. Give it 1 or 2 more games and we'll have a lot more information. And also the Dolphins are 0-2. They looked terrible their first game. They looked better the second game, but blew it against the Patriots. And in this game, they're hanging with the Bills. Even though the Bills have outplayed them pretty thoroughly, they're right in the game. They're 7 points down, 1st and 10. They got some first downs here. They had one nice drive to start the game. So, we got to see. Yeah, draft everybody. Yeah, there was no reason to get Tyler Barron. Even if you wanted Tyler Barron, there was no reason to trade up for him. I mean, that was the confusing part. I don't think there were too many teams that were really knocking down Tyler Barron's door to draft him. So not only did we draft a player that has no value, we traded up and gave up draft capital for him. That's stupid. Now here's a fake pass to looking out toward Achane. That's a nice play by 45, whoever that is. Thompson. So you notice Tua has not been able to do anything downfield, and really the only passes he's really hit are some screens and some delayed passes and things, and some misdirections. Tyreek Hill, I don't even think he has a catch. If he maybe has one that really wasn't a catch when he was bobbling it. So now it's 3rd and 12. Let's see what the Dolphins are able to do here. The Bills fake a blitz, and now one of the players does come. Here comes a blitzer. Now Tua running to his left, running, throws. Oh my goodness, a terrible pass, but Hill is able to get his hands on it. So, Jesus. So, that's the value of Tyreek Hill, boy. If you really wonder if what Tua's career would be like to this point without Tyreek Hill. Well, he's just standing there, really, but throws this noodle pass and just Jesus Christ. But anyway, it's at the plus 40-yard line now. So they are moving the ball somewhat. And again, they're just down 7 points, 2 minutes remaining. They might be able to tie it up or be down 4 going into the second half. Yeah, Troll Man, I've said that 1,000 times, and I know troll's in your name, so I'm going to try to ignore dumb comments like this. because troll's right in the name, But yes, I said the whole season we're going to judge Fields, and if he's bad at the end of the season, he's gone. Well, he's not going to be gone, but we're going to draft a quarterback. Let's remember what Frankie said. Instead of being a troll, let's be on the rich side instead of the troll side. Yeah, but some of the comments, though, troll, I don't know. You're right on the edge right now. I might have to put a tariff on your comments, buddy. You're right on the edge. I don't know. I'd say let's be on the rich side rather than the troll side of troll rich. That's what I would say. Yeah, that's exactly right. That was a scary pass, man. Whew. But made the play. Sometimes you get lucky in this game, man. But it'll be interesting to see how the Bills really respond to this in the second half. Here they are. They thoroughly have outplayed the Dolphins. And they're only up by 7. They got a missed field goal in there. And they've only had 3 possessions the whole half, which is really kind of weird. These are facts. What are facts? What is facts? I mean, the problem you have with Fields is that in that one game, he made a bunch of terrible passes and and very few good passes. So when guys are wide open and he throws it behind them, that's not good. You can't throw it over their head and behind their feet and behind them. That's bad. That's called bad quarterback play. Ooh, that's a nice play by Tre'Davious White. Nice play by 27. Nice play by 27. So let's see if the Bills' defense stiffens up. Also, these teams are both on short rest, so we'll see how the fatigue factor comes into play in the second half as they go down to 1:56 remaining in the second quarter. Tua fakes to the running back, now looking, scramble-aya. Uh-oh, and he throws it out of bounds, so third down now. Yeah, it's his first year with the offense, so that means he can throw it behind people, over their heads, etc. If he has a perfect pocket and a wide open receiver, it's his first year in the offense, so he can throw it behind people and over their heads? No. And also, he was good in the first game. So the first game he was good, and therefore we don't have any excuses for him then because he played good. But then the second game he plays bad, and then we have all the excuses. It's the same team. It's the same offense. It's the same receivers. So when he plays good, we praise him. When he plays bad, we say he played bad. That's how it works, man. Oof. So short play to Hill, and then, see, this is the thing that Hill really brings, though. First down. So now you got 138C, so the Dolphins can really kind of hang around here. Both times Tyreek Hill got him out of trouble. That's what you do. When you're in trouble, you go to Tyreek Hill. He'll get you out of it. That's why you have him on the team. That's why you pay him all that money. Well, see, now I wouldn't go as far as this either. He's played 2 games, Edutain me. Played great the first game. Well, good to great. And he played very poorly the second game. But it's 2 games, dude. Like, we have to stop making complete evaluations over 2 games. We got to give him the whole season, and then we'll make an evaluation. One game good, one game very bad. That's what the record is right now. And it's the same way we judge Zach Wilson or anybody else. For one thing, when you have a good pocket and a wide open receiver and you can't hit them, We gotta call that out. You should be able to hit those things every time. If you can do that, then you move up to the next level and being able to do things a little bit more difficult, and so forth. But the quarterback should be able to hit from perfect pockets. Wide receivers that are wide open should be able to hit them perfectly. That's what you need out of a quarterback. And if you don't, you're going to get called out on it. That's the way it goes. And if you do, we'll say, great, good job. So the Dolphins really are now in at least field goal range. So what could have been a very bad first half, really, they're hanging right in there. And they have a chance to tie the score. And 55 seconds remaining, 2nd down and 5. I would look to Hill. He throws to Achane out in the flat, and that's not going anywhere. So now it's 3rd down, 47 seconds remain. Timeout taken. Tua. Tua, again, it's 2 games. This is the 3rd game. To me, Tua is what he is. You have to, he has strengths and weaknesses, and, again, if you're going to roll him out and expect him to make, Josh Allen type plays, it's not going to work that often. I mean, you might get lucky once in a while, but, he needs to stay in the pocket and be in rhythm. And if you take him out of his rhythm, that's when you slow him down. But when he is in rhythm and things are working, then he looks like gangbusters. So, but I think it's good that in the times when he really needed something, he went to Tyreek Hill. That's what you really should be doing. Go to your playmaker. He will make a play for you. 3rd and 7. So let's see if they blitz. They do not. Oh, that's a hold. How's that not a holding? And 2 on the run. I mean, that's hold. How is that not holding? He was giving the guy a suplex. The hell are we doing? We're just going to let him do that? Holy cow. What? He had him around the neck. And McDermott's not yelling about it? What? Watch 52. That's, maybe not. The hand was there, but I guess he let it go right at the last second. I don't know. If that was us, they would have called it. Right there. I guess it was hit or miss. But if that was our offensive tackle, it would have been a penalty. That's for sure. All right, so now it's 1st and 10. He scrambled for the 1st down. No blitz. Here comes a pass rush. He gets hit, throws it out, incomplete to the tight end. And now they can't even reverse that if they wanted to because they called it dead. One thing, they really haven't been able to get home on Tua for sacks, even with he might have caught that. Maybe not. Well, 2nd and 10 now. 23 seconds remaining. Ollie Gordon in the game. Tua drops it off to Achane for a little screen pass. He's goes down. 17 seconds remaining. Now it's 3rd down. Timeout. Plenty of time, I guess. The good thing about this drive, you're not going to give Allen any time at all to really do anything. So if you think about it, basically 2 drives out of 4, I guess, for Miami, they're going to get points, and that's fine. 2 out of 3 for the Bills, but they had a missed field goal in there, so Third down and 3. Stephen Ross looking in the binoculars. Chairman of the board, managing general partner. Tua looking, throws to Tyreek. Gets a first down. Out of bounds, 11 seconds. Like I said, he saves you every time. All right, 11 seconds now remaining. Tua. There you go. Hits Waddle, touchdown. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but now you got a tie score. I don't know what to make of this game. Well, they really did not get Tua to the ground. He was able to escape a number of situations that he was in trouble. To his credit, it didn't look pretty at times, but able to do something. So in a half where they were thoroughly outplayed, I would say, I don't know what to make of this game so far. Well, we'll see what happens in the second half, but it's a tie ball game now. Only 8 seconds remaining, so Allen's not going to be able to do anything. Tre'Davious White beat on the play by Jalen Waddle. A little slant, bada bing, bada boom. They did bring a blitz there. So Tua's been getting the ball out quick for the most part when he's been successful. Yeah, he had that crazy scramble, almost got Tyreek killed, but made the play. Superstars doing superstar things. Tyreek Hill, for example. Some lucky bastard put on a bet on a tied halftime. Yeah. Football's a weird game. Because if you watch that, it looked like the Bills were just absolutely killing them. And now it's tied, 2 seconds remaining. Two seconds remaining in the half. So what are we going to do at halftime? Maybe we should convert this over to K-Frank for the halftime show. For the halftime. Got to do something. Unless you guys want to bring up some topics to discuss. Maybe we might have to play some music up in this mug. Let me know if you guys want to hear some music. I don't know, man. Might have to turn this into K-Frank.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
Eyesight, it was a clear sight, abandoned, handed down to me. A history, it's been given, long but shortened in my hand. Free swinging, forceful singing my name. Hang around, my hold me up, soak me in, and let them read my side. My eyes shine, it hangs together, it announces my every move, transforming these gatherings, clenched in my fingers it begins. Free swinging, forceful singing my name. Hang around, my hold me up, soak me in, let them read my shame. of now, it calls attention to my heart and to my chest. My drive is so insatiable, it drags me down. My charm hangs from a prison chain. Free swinging, forceful singing my day. Hang around, hold me up, soak me in, and let them read my shine. Free swinging, forceful singing my name. Hang around, hold me up, soak me in, and let them read my sign. Read my sign. It was so long ago, I carried that book of poems, but I had no sign. No, I had no rhyme. It was so long ago, I carried that book of poems, but I'd done my time. No, I had no shine. One, two, three, four. When I rise from the mire, I'll be above you. It's a crime that desire had to corrupt you. I am armed with an armload of stories. Some are weighted with shame, some tell of glory. But when you rise from this madness and see how guilty your past is, you'll be so gone by then that only God will be your friend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I rise from depression, I'll be against you. Your manufactured oppression, I guess it freed you. Well, when you rise from this madness and see how guilty your past is, you'll be so gone by then that only God will hold your hand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you rise from this madness and see how guilty your past is, I'll watch you burn in the fire. I'll be a bird on the wire. Well, I'm ensconced with desire, but I can't handle the liar. Oh, when you rise from the madness and see how guilty your past is, you'll be so gone by
All right. So, second half is coming up. I guess we got to get out of K-Frank mode. Got to kick it back over to FSPN. Second half is beginning. Daniel Meehan is here. The Dodester installing light fixtures in the apartment, listening to FSPN. Alan Dode's one of the folks who is in the inner circle of the Frankie channel. You might want to join the inner circle. You get exclusive videos, exclusive documents, drive chart summaries, all sorts of data analytics, PFF grades, all sorts of things when you join the inner circle like Alan Dodes has done. All right, so it'll be the Dolphins kicking off to the Bills. The Bills thoroughly dominated that first half. However, the score is 14-14. The Bills had the ball 3 times. They scored a touchdown, and then missed a field goal. Here's Codrington, former Jet, taking it out to about the 40-yard line, -40. Todd, the score is 14-14. The Dolphins scored on their first possession and their fourth and last possession. In the middle, they look like hot garbage, but the Bills only got the ball 3 times, scored a touchdown, and then missed a field goal. So as a result, it's 14-14. Bills have the ball on the -40-yard line to start the second half. They got a fullback and I think 2 tight ends in there, and they're handing the ball to Cook, and he doesn't go very far. So we got ourselves a ball game. It looked like it might get out of hand for the Dolphins, but they were able to stem the tide. And on their last drive of the half, which was a long drive, Tua on third down was able to convert a couple of times on some risky passes, but Tyreek Hill bailed him out for the most part. And we got ourselves a ball game. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Josh Allens tied at home against your Miami Dolphinians. Now we have a more traditional set. This is 11 personnel. Allen looking to his left, fires it into Coleman. He's got it, but it's well short of the first down. It's going to be third down in about 3 or so. So if the Dolphinians can get a stop here, they'll be in very good shape. High Karate is here. He says, what's good, FSPN? Yeah, when we're doing the sports, it's FSPN. When we're playing music, it's K-Frank. You know, you got to take over. Alan Dode says, I recommend the inner circle. All right, so there you go. There you go. Recommendation from a member. Membership has its privileges. Allen looking to pass, throws underneath to Ty Johnson, former Jet, first down. Flag on the play. There's a flag. Got to be a flag. Penalty. HR violation. Illegal contact defense. That's declined. Way too many rules. So Dode says he recommends the inner circle. Yeah, just $2 a month. Get you in there. Exclusive videos. Folders full of documents. Check Dode's. If you haven't recently checked the posts, there's a new members post. And let me know if you have any problems with the folders. Some folks are having problems with the folders. You get folders and folders full of stuff. That's what you get. Here's another pass underneath. Goes to Shakir. Makes his way down to about the 28-yard line. So the Dolphin defense has not been good in this game at all. They did come up with a stop at the end of the first half, forced him into a field goal try, but the field goal was one of the worst kicks I've ever seen. Now it's first down again. Allen in the shotgun, looks left, looks right. Now he's going to scramble. The Allen run around and do stuff offense. Oh! And Jordan Brooks almost with a pick as he jumped up, timed it just right, but couldn't bring it down. Jordan Brooks, a solid linebacker. High Karate says he was watching a Yankee game. Baseball. I used to play baseball. I used to be holding on the offense. Number 73, Deion Dawkins. I think he got his... yeah. Well, That was about the same as the one on the Dolphins guy, but they called that one. And that's the problem with these flags. It's totally inconsistent what a hold is and what isn't a hold. You could have called the one on the Dolphins. You could have let this one go. And either way, no one would have said much. I would prefer they let him play. But baseball these days, a little too boring for my taste. 11 personnel now for Josh Allen. Now they're back at the 39-yard line, 3-by-1 formation. So Allen now goes back, avoids the rush. Now he's going to take off and scramble. There he goes, down to the 25, 20-yard line, slides, and a guy comes over his head. They might call that a penalty. Oh, now there's fisticuffs at the end of it, pushing, shoving. No flags for any of that. That's another thing where there's no consistency. Our guy breathes on somebody, it's a flag. Our guy, but if our quarterback's running out of bounds and gets clobbered, oh, no problem. Justin Fields slid down, a guy nailed him in the face, no problem, no flag whatsoever, But baseball, too boring these days for me. Too boring, especially the way the Yankees play. Yankees are just all about home runs, and that's it. Got a lineup where if they don't hit home runs, this is going to be a long night. But if they hit home runs, they'll score lots of runs. Throws it out to Kincaid, and he is going to go all the way down to the 2-yard line. So once again, the Bills, every single time, this is their fourth possession now. They've taken it deep within the red zone. Now, the Dolphins did get a stop on one of them, and they missed a field goal. But they're really moving the ball at will for the most part against this Dolphins defense, which looks overmatched. Ashton Davis trying to chase down a guy. Look familiar? It's looking pretty familiar to me. That's kind of how he looked when he was at the Jets. Todd says, good night, everyone. Have to feed the cows in the morning. All right, good night, Todd. Say hello to the cows. Anybody who doesn't like cows, well, you can't be a friend of mine. Josh Allen, that was a weird-looking play. They're going to call a flag on this. Things are getting a little testy. Everybody fighting. Everybody kung fu fighting. High Karate says, Yankee baseball is fantastic. Well, some people feel that way. High Karate, not me. Personal foul, defense, unnecessary roughness. That's why one of the two reasons they could really get rid of roughing the passer is you already have unnecessary roughness in the rule book. If it were up to me, I'd totally rewrite the rule book. I think Spencer Brown showed a lot of restraint here. Spencer Brown could have ended this young man's life. Spencer Brown is about 17 feet tall. Now they do a run up the middle, and there goes James Cook. So, again, 4 possessions, 3 touchdowns, and a missed field goal. They really should have 24 points, but they have 21. But because of how the structure of the game and because Tua was they had a nice drive on the first game, the Dolphins did, very efficient. Then two clinkers, and then at the end of the half, Tua saved them with some scrambles, with some YOLO balls that worked out. So, I think the returns on this Dolphin defense, it's not good. The offense is basically if you can find Tyreek Hill and Waddle, okay, and, it's very difficult to take Tyreek Hill out of the game. It really is. The guy's just too quick and fast. Which is why it'd be fascinating if Buffalo pulls us out one way or another, and then Miami falls to 0-3, and then they maybe lose to us. Though at this point, that's hard to imagine, but we'll see. We don't know what we are yet. Well, we had one very bad game, so. But yeah, baseball doesn't do it for me these days, I got to say. All right, let's check in on X and see if there's any news breaking. Nothing really of note. Of course, some of the news that came out, the Washington Redskins, the Commanders, are going back to their old stadium, RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. They're going to get out of Maryland in 5 years, but all the approvals came through and everything like that, so they are moving back to Washington. That is good for everyone. The NFL sent something around to the teams that the Eagles have been cheating all this time on the tush push. The guards are lining up inside of the neutral zone and also false starting at the same time. That may be the key to that play, cheating. So they're going to start enforcing that a little differently. So they say they're going to call it tighter. We'll see if they actually do. Also, ODOT, whatever that is, the Department of Transportation approves Browns Brook Park Stadium plans, ending dispute over airspace. So it looks like the Cleveland Browns have cleared at least one hurdle in getting a new stadium at Brook Park. And so that's where they want to go. Cleveland, much better site, new stadium with a roof on it and all this. So that could happen. The Washington Commanders are getting a new stadium back at the spiritual home, they say, of the Redskins. Commanders. And so all of that's going on. Those are basically the headlines, plus the quarterback injuries. Joe Burrow out for the year. Jaden Daniels probably out for one game. Justin Fields, concussion protocol. J.J. McCarthy, ankle sprain, might be a few weeks. Those are the major headlines around the NFL as the Dolphins get a kick and take it to the 29-yard line. See if the Bills make any adjustments on defense. All right, so now Tua and the offense have the ball. Nothing going on really in the headlines. So Tua with the fullback in, throwing a lot of behind-the-line screens. That really hasn't worked tonight for the most part. Really, the offense has been fairly stagnant outside of a couple of passes and some YOLO balls and all of that. Karate, yeah. Clowney went to Dallas. Zadarius Smith went to Philadelphia. These are people we could have had, but we talked about it all summer, Karate. Now we're seeing the roster being exposed, just as we talked about, Karate. All right, now here's a handoff to Achane up the middle, stuffed pretty well by the Bills. Now here we go. 3rd and long, the money down. Let's see who wins this battle. For the most part, it's been the Bills, but Tua was able to pull a couple of rabbits out of a couple of hats on 3rd down, just enough on that last drive to keep the Dolphins really in this game, that and a missed field goal. So let's see what they pull out here. 3rd and 11. Will the Bills bring pressure or not? Little blitzorama. Make Tua run around. Now, a few times he's had to do that. He didn't look good, but then a couple of times he did. So we'll see. Here comes, I think, a 5-man blitz, and they block it up pretty good. Now he's throwing deep. Oh, my goodness. That is, these YOLO balls, now a player on the Bills is injured. So you see what happens when Tua, now it looks like a serious injury, unfortunately, for the Bills. Tua just throwing up YOLO balls. When you take him out of his rhythm, he doesn't look like a great quarterback. This is just throw the ball to Tyreek and hope and pray. He's covered. He's double covered, even including Rapp, who really took a weird angle there. Should have tracked this a little bit better. There was really no reason to throw this ball. And Hill almost caught it. Bad play by the safety, I would say. You're supposed to be deeper than the deepest. And it's Benford who's down. That's a good cornerback. So hopefully he's okay. But you see what it is. It's like when he's in trouble, 3rd and long, it's throw it to Tyreek Hill. That's the offense. And even if he's covered, double covered, and it's not a terrible idea, he's your best player. You pay him a ton of money. He should rescue you out of situations. But at the same time, is that really a good offense? What if Hill has an injury? What if, then what? And even on that play, they had him double covered, even though the safety, I thought, made a poor play on the ball. But it's kind of like, what is this? What was that play supposed to be? Just throw it up into double coverage and just hope and pray? It seems like it's a hope and a prayer for Tua. I'm not so hot on that. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Tua. Let's say if they keep losing and they have a bad season and they start trading people and they trade Tyreek Hill and other people that for draft picks and stuff, what are they going to do with Tua? I mean, you're going to stick with him? I mean, it's a very interesting thought experiment to try and see in your mind what Tua would have been without Tyreek Hill. And maybe we find out what that is, But, when Tua's been good, it's because he's got Hill and Waddle to a certain extent, But it's not exactly looking great. I mean, the first drive was the scripted drive, so you kind of go, okay, that's the scripted. And then the last drive where they scored the other touchdown, he threw some YOLO balls and got kind of lucky, let's be honest. And outside of that, it hasn't been good. And their defenses look terrible, so I don't know. It's not looking terrific. It's not looking terrific for the Dolphins, and it's not looking terrific for Anthony Weaver either. Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, very well thought of. He interviewed for some head coaching jobs. People hold him in very high regard. So it's a kind of, it's also not good for him in terms of, his reputation. They have good players on this defense. Well, let's see what the Bills can do here. Here's a muff by Codrington. Old Muffy Codrington. He must have thought he was on the Jets for a second. Slamming the ball against his knee pad 17 times. Old Coddy Codrington with the mufferino. It was weird because he kind of caught it and then it kind of slipped. Weird. But anyway, he fell on it, so the Bills still have it. So let's see what old Josh Allen's able to do. Basically, he's had 4 opportunities, 3 touchdowns, and 1 missed field goal. It's hard to do much better than that. So Allen now with the ball on the 20-yard line, minus 20, hands the ball off to Cook, makes a move, doesn't get very far. 1 yard. Chris B., CB Jets fan. Yeah, go Jets, like and subscribe, and also join the Inner Circle, where you get exclusive items, exclusive videos. I'm doing more and more stuff for the members in the Inner Circle. I feel like if people are going to join and give money, they deserve to have the best. They deserve the best of everything. The people who support financially. So, think about joining the Inner Circle of this channel. Throw it out to Elijah Moore. This isn't going anywhere. All right, so here's a good series so far for the Dolphins. Okay, 3rd and long. Here we go. They're still very much in the game, only down 7, despite the fact that the Bills have had 4 possessions and went touchdown, missed field goal, touchdown. But here we go, 3rd and 9. Let's see if they can hold them down here. If they can, then they'll have very good field position on the punt, and here we go. So these are the moments in the game that really turn a game. Like when we play the Bills and some of these teams, and we have these situations, even if we stop them, Michael Clemens will do rough the passer. So, all right, here he is looking for a pass. He throws it out to Kincaid. That's not going to be a first down, so that's not a very good pass by Allen. Kincaid gets not close to a first down. So there's a good job by the Dolphins defense finally stopping them. Now they're going to have to punt. And so they're very much in this game. And that's the difference right there. 3rd and long, there was a couple of times in that game we had them stopped, but we would commit a penalty. We would do something. And, that's the difference in the game. With these games, sometimes it comes down to little things like that. So the Dolphins hanging around, as they say, not playing great, but hanging around. Now they're going to have good field position here. And, that was a 3 and out for the offense. So the Buffalo defense is going to be a little winded, a little tired. And we'll see what they're able to make out of it. But one thing I do think this game, the way it is now, at least the Dolphins didn't get their doors blown off, right? So that's something. If the Dolphins came out and got their doors blown off one way or another, then I think McDaniels and Greer would be in trouble in season. But they're hanging right in there. So I think their job security is probably safe, for the short term. If they lose in the end of this one, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. We'll have to see what it looks like for the subsequent games. But I think, the fans are going to be like, all right, we're in it. We're not looking completely terrible. Let's see what we can do. And they're still in the game. They're only down 7. So they are hanging right in. And can make a game of it. We can make a game of it for sure. So interesting that, the Bills could look so dominant for so long and then only be up by so much. So, and maybe the Dolphins are the ones who have made a defensive adjustment of some kind in this game, and we'll see. Maybe their defense will play up to their capability in the second half. They certainly do have a lot of good players on defense. Hi Karate says, I did not know Reddick was with the Bucks. Yeah, and they gave him so much money, we're getting a draft pick because of it. They're giving us they're not giving us, but because of what the money that he got, we're getting a comp pick, so that's good. So thank you to Hassan Reddick, and thank you to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Reddick, I think through 2 games has 1 sack. So not doing terrible anyway. Air yards per completion, negative 0.5 for Tua. Yeah. And that's with a couple of YOLO balls that got lucky on. Imagine if those went incomplete. All right, so now they got the ball, though. Nonetheless, all that said, they're at their negative 37-yard line. They certainly have a chance to stay right in this game. There's a nice running play, 3 or 4 yards before it gets stopped up. 6:22 to go in the third quarter. Achane, 8 rushes for 41 yards. Not too shabby. 42 yards. 2nd and 5, able to get 5 on first down. That's a good drive starter right there. Alec Ingold in the game, their fullback. He's a key player for them as well. We got 21 personnel on the field right now and Tua under center. Looks like a play action. Tua looking to his left, and receivers not there, fell down. Though and Tyreek is looking like something's injured, something's hurt or something. Calling for a hold. Oh, Benford's back on the field, so that's good for did get held. But really had nothing to do with the play. But it was holding, defensive holding, see? So that's another one where they could have called it, and it was, but they didn't. So inconsistent refereeing. That was definitely a holding, but they don't call it. So, these referees are just very inconsistent. That's one of the reasons that it's annoying to watch these games sometimes. If it's defensive holding, it's defensive holding. That certainly was. You can't hold on to a guy's jersey and pull on him, impeding his progress. So, Tagovailoa, 63 pass yards so far. Josh Allen, 153. But this is, and again, here's another money down situation, 3rd down and 5. Tyreek is back in the game, so no problem with the injury or anything. So he'll probably be going to Tyreek. That's been the trend in this game. When he's down in trouble, 3rd down and money down, needs a 1st down, he goes to Tyreek, and no surprise there, he's the money man. But if you think about this game, really, the Dolphins need it in the worst way. The Bills, they'd like to have it, but it's they lose, it's not the end of the world. But they really would like to win. Looks like they're double mugging the A-gap. That's a bluff. They are bringing it off the edge. Tua again avoids, able to throw, and incomplete. So I would say Tua's doing a good job of avoiding the sack, but he almost always flushes to his left. He's sort of the opposite of Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels always flushes to his right. Tua always flushes, it seems, at least in this game, to his left. So here he has a decent pocket. Yeah, he has a receiver, didn't find him. And then he flushes out of the pocket. So Tua not able to take advantage of the good defensive stand by the Dolphins there. So we'll have to see if the Dolphins can do that again. And here's the punt. That's a nice punt. And and Codrington catches that one cleanly. So then they're going to have to start from the 15-yard line. 5:32 left in the 3rd quarter. So we'll have to see. Yeah, one of the things I don't like is all of the inconsistencies with how they call the game. Whatever the rules are, they are. I would get rid of a lot of the rules because I think they don't serve a purpose. Like, there should be no intentional grounding, for example. Intentional grounding is one of the dumber rules that there is. Let the quarterback throw it away if he wants to. Who cares? And then if you did that, you could do away with roughing the passer and just call unnecessary roughness and then just define what that means for the quarterback. Things like that. You could simplify the rule book and just get less flags, get more consistency, and let the players play. Nobody wants to see games determined by the freaking refs. If something's a defensive holding where they're grabbing the shirt, then you got to call it. And you can't call it one time for one guy and not for the other guy. It's the inconsistency that gives people the heebie-jeebies. And it's the same thing with holding, offensive holding. You can call holding on any play or not. We have to define that better so these refs can be consistent. Something's a hold or it's not a hold. You can't call it for just Patrick Mahomes, to give him an advantage. And then when it happens to the Jets, you don't care. It's not holding. Like that game we saw, when was it? Last year or 2 years ago, when Jermaine Johnson was basically getting mugged. It must have been 2 years ago. And, they don't call that. But Sauce Gardner touches a receiver, touches his towel or something, and that's defensive holding when Michael Carter, intercepts a pass. I mean, it's ridiculous. The consistency has to be there. Yeah, man. And you know who the Rules Committee president is? It's Rich McKay from the Bucks. And you know who's not on any NFL committees? Woody Johnson. But Rich McKay is on this Rules Committee. He's been on it for 1,000,000 years. And nobody ever goes up to him and like, hey, Rich, shouldn't we take a look at the entire rule book and see how we can improve this? How many of these rules can we throw out of here? Nobody wants to see flags. Nobody wants to see injuries, and nobody wants to see penalties. Those are two things no football fan wants to see. Let the players decide the game. Why is intentional grounding a penalty? Why is illegal man downfield a penalty? There's no reason for it. If you're going to have illegal man downfield, give him 10 yards or something. Let the offensive lineman run around. Who cares if they're running around? Yeah. Here goes Josh Allen running around. He's only able to get 3 or 4 yards, but on 1st down, that's not so bad. So 2nd down and 6. So the Buffalo offense has bogged down, I would say. They haven't looked as crisp and clean as they did in the first few drives. Now they're kind of bogging down a little bit. Is that because of what they're doing, or are the Dolphins doing something a little different on defense? I don't know. But yeah, we need a complete overhaul of the rules. We need consistency of things called, and we need things to make sense. Get rid of the rules that serve no purpose. And for the ones that are in there, we need consistency. And we need to evaluate these referees for quality, and we need to be able to throw them the hell out when they stink for consistency. If you watch a lot of college football, you notice that there's not as many flags in college. They let them play pretty much. All right, now it's 3rd down and 2. So here's the money down for the Bills. They've been bogged down a little bit the last few drives. So let's see if they can convert a 3rd down here. They got a 3-by-1 formation with the tight end in motion. Allen looks to his left, can't find anybody, throws, and he's got Shavers. This kid Shavers is quite the story. He's a practice squad guy. This could be our Brandon Smith. Shavers is a guy on their practice squad for a couple of years. They finally, he had a really good preseason. Now they got him playing in the regular season and he's making important catches in division games. Nicely done. If it's the same guy I'm thinking of. No-name receiver. You need those kind of players on your team who don't make any money whatsoever. Allen being flushed by Judon, throws it downfield. So that didn't go anywhere. So they were able to get the 1st down out of it, but they still look a little bit out of sync, a little bit more out of sync than in the beginning of the game anyways. Yeah, what's this about? What's the purpose of the rule? Why doesn't anybody go up to Rich McKay and say, what's the purpose of this rule? Offensive linemen can't be too far downfield. Why not? What harm does it do? If you want to have it be that you don't want them running all the way down, all right, give them 10 yards. Just give them a wide berth. They're big men. You're giving them 2 inches. It's stupid. Allen back to pass, throws to the left, and Keon Coleman was not ready for it. So once again, Buffalo seems off here. I think the Dolphins should be smelling blood like a shark. Dolphins a little bit, the Bills offense a little bit off here. You could have called holding on, before this, you could have called holding on that cornerback there maybe. But Buffalo is slowing down a little bit. All right, 3rd and 10. Let's see if Allen's able to convert this. He's got a tight end in the backfield. Now he motions him to the right. 3-by-1 formation to the right. Passing strength to the right. Allen looks to his right now. Can't find anybody in the pocket. Pass rush can't get home. Throws it underneath to Johnson, who drops it. That looks like the Jets Johnson that we knew back in the day. And again, another bogged down series. So the Dolphins able to escape. They didn't do very much there. Got a little bit lucky. But Josh Allen kind of not looking great the last couple of times. So they're letting the Dolphins hang around. This is worrisome for the Bills. Are they running out of gas? Are they fatigued? Have they overlooked the Dolphins a little bit? What's going on here? This is a short week, and this is a gotta-have-it game for the Dolphins. It's not really a gotta-have-it game for the Bills. So you wonder. Things have gotten a little bit stagnant for the Buffalonians. But what high karate? What is the point of intentional grounding? What's the point of that rule? Why is that a foul? The quarterback wants to get rid of the ball and throw it into the stands. Who cares? It's a win for the defense anyway. And that rule is probably responsible for a lot of quarterback injuries because they don't want to get illegal. They don't want to get that penalty, so they hold on to the ball, then they get crushed, and then they're worried about quarterback injuries. It's like let them protect themselves by throwing the ball away. All right, now Tua has the ball on the 33-yard line, back to pass. And he throws it behind the line again to Achane, who makes a nice move and gains 9 yards. So again, the downfield passing game isn't really present for the Dolphins except for a couple of YOLO balls, basically throwing everything behind the line of scrimmage. And when you have a guy like Achane, that's not a bad plan. He is a very elusive receiver and can get you yards. So that one, 9 yards, 2nd down and 1 now. So one of the plays they have is sort of like a delayed pass to the running backs where they let everybody go downfield and then they throw it to the running back, and then he just has to beat usually one guy. Ollie Gordon with a nice broken tackle there. Really should have been tackled for a loss. He gains about 10 or 15 yards. So nice play by Ollie Gordon. Guy coming off the edge, 45, really should have made this play. Instead, he whiffs. Looking very Jets-like with that one. That was very Jets-esque, tackling-wise. And again, you got to worry about, I think, a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of, this is short rest. And again, the Dolphins got to have this game in the worst way. They don't want to go 0-3 at all. So, yeah, you wonder if they're going to, that's a nice play by the Bills' defense there. 8 should not be a linebacker number, Bernard. Terrell Bernard, 8 should not be a linebacker number. That's sacrilegious. Number 8 at linebacker. That's crazy. But you wonder if the Dolphins are just going to try to run it down their throat here and kind of like hope that, the combination of short week fatigue and, not exactly the most important game of the year for the Bills, some kind of combo of that will help. But now Tua's going to throw. He throws again to the line of scrimmage and works out. So these little short, tiny passes, what they used to call 2-yard Tua, when he would do this earlier in his career, now it's working pretty good in this game. Bills don't seem to be ready for those. Here's a flag. See what it is. Ineligible man downfield, my favorite penalty. Not allowed to run that far, 7, are you? Sorry, buddy. Look at that little white thing that they give him. So stupid. Incredibly dumb rule. I'd like someone to explain why that's a rule, why we need it. Get rid of it. People are too scared to get rid of things in general. All right, now it's 2nd down and 17. That was a nice-looking play. Now we got trips left. The passing strength is to the left. Might be trying to ISO on the right. No, just a little pass to Achane, and he can't break a tackle. So you see Tua really not doing much in terms of ADOT, what they call ADOT, average depth of target. His ADOT is going to be terrible in this game. Though some of the plays are working out because they're getting yak. ADOT, not being so high, but getting a lot of yak is fine, I guess. But it doesn't suggest high-level quarterback play, for sure. But if it's effective, it's effective. So, end of the 3rd quarter, and Buffalo leads by 7. So, the Dolphins are just really hanging around in a game they got to have. So, Dodes, I think not international grounding, but intentional grounding is a penalty. Try to keep the ball inbounds for the possibility of interceptions. Yeah, maybe so, but what it actually leads to is quarterbacks holding on to the ball and then getting cremated. So I think if that's the intention, it's not worth the rule. Plus, it's hard to officiate, right? A rule that's hard to officiate should be taken out because they got to know where the tackles are. And they often don't know. There's no official tackle box. They just have to estimate it, right? So it's hard to officiate. And the thing I say is you don't just take out the intentional grounding. You take out the intentional grounding, and then because you're giving the quarterback intentional grounding, taking that out, giving him a way to protect himself by throwing it away, you take out roughing the passer as well. And all that stupid rule about below the waist and above the head, and you just make it unnecessary roughness. You already have unnecessary roughness in the rule book, and you just define what unnecessary roughness for the quarterback is going to be. You say if you hit the quarterback in the head, that's unnecessary roughness. You could go back to the old 2-step rule, if you remember that. Used to be you had 2 steps before you hit the quarterback. Anything 2 steps or more, that's roughing the passer. But so it's sort of like a suite of solutions, and the goal being we want to reduce the number of penalties, the stoppage of play, and the number of flags that get thrown. So just get rid of the man downfield penalty, illegal man downfield. Let any man go downfield if they want to. The defense just has to deal with it. If you see an offensive lineman coming at you downfield, too bad. That'd be exciting. Get rid of that. Get rid of intentional grounding and get rid of roughing the passer and just enforce unnecessary roughness in a specific way against the quarterbacks, which you can define in the rule book. You just shouldn't keep adding rules and adding rules. And part of the problem is, Rich McKay is the one who heads up the committee for that, and he's been the head of that committee for a million fucking years, and he's just an old man who, these old men, they don't like to change anything. Nothing against older folks, but as we all know, the older you get, the less likely you want to change everything around. Okay, now to a 3rd down and 14. So again, another money down. He throws it short. They throw a flea flicker type of play. Oh boy, that was quite an admission that you don't believe in your quarterback when you're throwing flea flickers around, or whatever you call that, hook and laterals. But now it's 4th down, and they're going to go for it. 4th down, they could kick a field goal, but they are on the plus side of the field. The old hook and lateral on 3rd down, they really don't trust Tua to go 7-step drop, 5-step drop, and just play quarterback. At least they haven't so far. So 4th and 4, here we go. Triple, 3 men on the left side. Tyreek's out there. They throw it out to Waddle, and they get him open, and he gets a 1st down. So there's a nice little play. About a 4-yard pass. Waddle's able to take it for a 1st down. So again, Miami hanging around. They just did a crosser man beater. Yeah, just this simple mesh man beater. And Waddle, when you have Waddle and Hill, pick your poison. Man beaters. Yeah, nice play call. Nothing fancy, just a mesh man beater. 17 out of 26 for 100 yards for Tua. Now he's under center. Looks like we got 21 personnel blocking for Achane. There he goes. So there, he sprung him. See, so you hang around. Maybe you're able to land a haymaker or two. Did McKay coach the Bucs? When did McKay? I don't think so. Karate. Rich McKay. He's an executive with the Bucs. And you see these things that come out in the off season, and they have this committee. But if anybody wants to change the rules, one of the teams has to submit it. What's the point of having the committee then? So the team has to submit it, and then the committee has to evaluate it. Why can't the committee come out with some proposals? Why does a team have to submit a proposal for something to be done? Why can't they just do it? What is the committee doing now? What are they doing right now? What are they doing today, tomorrow? What's their time being taken up doing? 2nd down and goal. Tua fakes a handoff to Achane off his back foot, throws, and he's got him. Tyreek Hill, there it is. When you need him, go to Reek. So there you go, tie ball game in Buffalo. So say what you want about the Dolphins, they were able to hang with the Bills in Buffalo into the 4th quarter. Whatever the remaining things occur in this game, very difficult to cover Tyreek for anybody. Benford's a good corner, but So, they hung with the Bills. So, whatever you want to say about the Dolphins, they played well enough in this game. Though I wouldn't be, if I were a Dolphin fan, I wouldn't be 100% confident in this team, what I've seen this season so far. But they are hanging in there. This is a gotta have a game for the Fins. And they are on the road, although not in the weather and cold and all. But they are on the road in Buffalo, hanging with the Bills in the fourth quarter, and the defense has stiffened up. So, I would say that's a pretty good sign for the Dolphins, and certainly McDaniels and Greer are going to be safe, for the short term. Chris B with the optimism. All right, like to see the optimism, Chris. Good to see it. Karate, yeah, but what year was that? When they were 0-16? I don't know, man. I'm not the historian, bro. That's green bean, right? I mean, I could look it up. You want me to look it up, Karate? Let's look up the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you look up, actually, the best place for this is probably just Pro Football Reference, and then you just go to the Buccaneers. And you look at their history. Yeah, McKay. They do, yeah. Actually, looks like McKay, it probably was. McKay was their first head coach ever in 1976. They went 0-14. Then he was their head coach from 1976 to 1983. Let's see. Then if I click McKay, no, this is John McKay. It's probably his son, though. This is John Harvey McKay, so that's different. But I bet you Rich McKay is his son. Probably, because there's a lot of nepotism in football. Yeah, but McKay was their head coach from 76 to 84. Then Bennett, whoever that is, then Perkins, Williamson, and then Weich. Boy, they were bad for a long time. They really didn't get good until Dungy, 1997. So basically, from 1976, essentially, although they did make the playoffs a couple of times in there, but 76 to 97, they were pretty bad, but they did make the playoffs 3 times in there. All right, so now the Bills take the ball. And Snoopy says, why couldn't the Jets do this? Because football's not like that, bro. I mean, there's a lot of factors. I think, it's a short weekend. This is a gotta-have-it game for the Dolphins, and the Bills are like, we'll take it if you give it to us. But, I mean, they've been dominating. They were dominating the first 4 possessions of the game. Then they slowed down in the second half, so you'd have to figure out why. Did the Dolphins change their defense, et cetera? Here, Cook gets another big run. Number 11 saved a touchdown, probably. But I would say, too, if you notice, in this game, every time Tua needed to get bailed out, who did he go to? Tyreek Hill. So probably on offense, they got their shit together. Don't forget, McDaniels, Tua, Hill have been together for what, 3-4 years? Like always, the Jets are trying something new every 2 seconds. Doesn't work that way. It's one reason we really should hope that Glenn's able to pull it together and he can be here a while. One of the main reasons. You do want some continuity because it does eventually, hopefully, lead to better play if you can pull things together. So they throw it underneath to Cook. I think the Dolphins. I think if you look at the tape of this game, the Dolphins are doing something different. The Bills just look totally different on offense. So this, we were talking about Anthony Weaver at halftime. Anthony Weaver's the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, and he was looking pretty bad in the first half. And I said, I wonder what adjustments Mr. Weaver is going to make. And you don't really know without looking at the tape in the All-22, but it looks like he did something different because the Bills look totally different in this half. So we'll have to see. Here's an all-out blitz. Can Allen beat it? No. And so they're doing something that's different. I mean, look at this defense. The defense for the Dolphins looked terrible in the first half. Second half, totally different. So you say that's adjustments. I don't know what it is, but it just looks like they know what they're doing. Whereas first half, they look like nothing. That was not a foul, Josh. Yeah, and Dodes makes a good point. This is something we should discuss. So 2011 is the modern era of football. So the continuity that Rex Ryan had, he did have continuity, that's true, but 2011, everything changed. We should always keep that in mind, that the new CBA came in and everything changed, and our people, Rex and Tannenbaum, did a terrible job of managing the roster going forward. So, anything pre-2011, you could look at it for historical purposes, like we just looked at the Tampa Bay Bucks. But did they call roughing the kicker here? They're giving him a first down? No way. So basically anything pre-2011 for talking about, like team building and continuity and things of that nature, it needs to be thrown out the window because the rules were so different. The cap was so different. Everything was different. So it's a good point, Dodes. We need to keep that in mind. All right. So the Bills just got a huge break roughing the kicker. That's another penalty. That's another penalty I would get rid of, actually. Why are we protecting kickers? Really? Why is there, again, it should be unnecessary roughness. If a guy, like that play right there should not be a penalty, in my opinion. The guy's trying to block the kick, and he just rolls into the dude. Why is that a penalty? Exactly. Why are we protecting punters? They don't deserve any special protection. If it's unnecessary roughness, okay. You call unnecessary roughness. Now they're trying to continue to run the ball, and James Cook made a cut and got cut down 1 yard short, almost broke it. But it seems like that the Bills are really trying to run the ball more with the running backs, not Allen running. And Cook, in fact, is over 100 yards, trying to maybe reduce the wear and tear on Allen. But the Bills now it's 3rd down and 1. Now they're in field goal range. Of course, their kicker made a terrible kick already in this game. You wonder if they're going to have any confidence in the kicker here. They hand the ball off to Ty Johnson. There he goes. That's a first down before he gets stood up. So they continue to run the ball using their backs. No, you just call unnecessary roughness, Dodes. You already have a rule. It's called unnecessary roughness. If you murder the kicker, it's unnecessary roughness. You don't need a special call. That's the whole point. We already have unnecessary roughness. It's already there. But look at that play there with Sealer. That shouldn't be a penalty ever. Now Allen's back to pass. He finds a guy over the middle. That is Shakir. No, Palmer. It looks like Shakir's not playing in this game. Khalil Shakir, is he even playing? That's Josh Palmer. That's a guy I wanted the Jets to look at. They did not. Josh Allen, 20 out of 26, 168, 2 touchdowns. Not a huge game, but efficient. Murdering. I mean, just call unnecessary roughness. I mean, why do we need all these overlapping rules? It's like the same thing with these laws that are all. Oh, there's Shakir, I think. And there's a touchdown. Yeah, there. Just as I say, I wonder if he's playing. He scores a touchdown. But I mean, why do we need different rule? Like, we already have unnecessary roughness. If you kill the kicker, you could have the same rule, like the 2-step rule or whatever that I'm proposing for the quarterback. If you kill the kicker, you just call unnecessary roughness. We already have a penalty for that. Nice little orbit play here. And basically got some blockers out front. Shakir to the end zone. Bada bing, bada boom. But again, the Dolphins still hanging around. But they did get a big break with that roughing the punter. Punter should be roughed up anyways. Dodester says, bring in the 4th-string kicker, the other 3. Yeah. I mean, they're punters. I mean, you want to make the case we got to protect the quarterbacks because they're the face of the league. Like, we need special protections. I don't agree with this, but the argument goes like we need special protections for the quarterbacks because, people come out to see the quarterbacks, and all this. Well, okay. Well, why does it apply to a punter then? Nobody sees a friggin' punter. Nobody comes out to see the punter. Nobody even knows who they are. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts this year haven't even punted once, Nobody cares about these people, so we shouldn't have special rules for them. We already have unnecessary roughness. You can protect them just fine with that. Yeah, but it's like, it is weird, Mo, that these guys even try to block the kick. It's like you wonder about it because it's like, what is the percentage chance you're actually going to block the punt versus, with the rules the way they are, getting some stupid penalty and ruining everything? Like, why do you even try to block the kick? This would be a question I would have for a special teams coordinator. Like, why are we trying to block the kick when it's a very low percentage that you're going to get it, and it's probably a much higher percentage if you try for it that you're going to run into the guy and ruin everything? It's like you're trying to make a low percentage play when really you're okay with him punting it away. Now, if it's desperation time and you got to try to make a play, all right. But if you're okay with him punting it away, why are we even trying to block it with the current rules that we have? Yeah, you already stopped them. Right. So you're okay. See, that's the thing. If you're okay with them punting it away and you're like, okay, that's a win. We got to punt. Okay, great. We got them to punt. Then, why even try? So the question would be for the special teams coordinator, why are your guys trying this in that situation? Like, what are we teaching them? Well, what's the teaching point? Why do we have a block on? In other words, there might be some situations you just don't want guy, just run into the guy, get blocked and run back, So I don't know. I'd love to ask a special teams coordinator that. Back in the day, Green Bean and I had on the Green Bean channel, we had on Mike Westhoff, if you guys remember that. We asked him some good questions. Ooh, the kick returner, what's his name? Eskridge. Good job. Got the ball out. Pretty far for the Dolphins. So let's see if the Dolphins can answer now. or if the Bills are going to provide a knockout blow. I don't know, Jets Worldwide. But what's the harm in doing that? If you have extra timeouts and you think I'm sure the data people have the data, but there's virtually no harm in that. This way, you saw the harm right there. By going for the block, you ruin the whole thing. Here's Achane running it up the middle for a yard or two. So second down. Yeah, it's a desperation move. That's the only time you really should probably do it, is if you really need to. All right, now Tua is still under center. Tyreek in motion. Here's a play action. And throwing it to Tyreek. Out of bounds. Boy, he really uses Tyreek as a security blanket, doesn't he? This is not exactly Tua's best game. I mean, he hasn't been terrible. He has, they do have 3 scoring drives at least. Good job of blocking by the O-line. Pass inaccurate. All right, 3rd down and 8. As we keep saying, money downs keep coming up over and over again. 3rd down and 8, money down. They know you're going to pass. We know you're going to pass. Can you get the first down? Do the Bills blitz? Let's see. Looks like a corner blitz. No, they back off. Here comes a couple of linebackers. Tua gets it out to Waddle. That's a good play. See, that is a solid throw. All right. That's good quarterbacking. Nice job, Tua. Not too complicated, but beat the blitz. You know where you want to go with it. You got an out route. You beat Tre'Davious White. No problem. Ball's on time, accurate. Boom. Nice. That's good quarterback play there. Got to call it out. Some of this other stuff, no. But that time, nice job. And they continue on. It's funny. He's if you think about the 3rd downs, he's able to convert them. It's almost like he's better on 3rd down than on 1st. Or 2nd, I guess. Achane with a short run. Time ticking away, 5:52 in the 4th quarter. Can Tua deliver a 4th touchdown drive? Been doing just enough in this game to survive, if you think about it. He hasn't looked great. It's not exactly a passing clinic, but just enough. And also I would say the Bills' pass rush is a bit of a problem. They really haven't been getting home. They only sacked us once, I think, Bosa. But I don't think they sacked Tua once this whole game, even though they have gotten pressure on him. But they haven't gotten home, and he's able to get the ball away, for a couple yard gain, or throw the ball out of bounds if he gets out of the tackle box. I think that's something that should worry Bills fans. You're going to need a pass rush, if you think you're going to go far in the playoffs. So, yeah, not being able to get home against a non-mobile quarterback, even though you did get a bunch of pressures. But you're not getting home. For the most part, he's able to beat you. So now it's 3rd and 4, and he needs a timeout. Ooh, so they might regret that, depending how the game goes. Burn a timeout there. But at the same time, this is an important drive. So if you need it, go ahead. This is an important drive, driving to tie the ball game in Buffalo. Yeah, so let's have less of them, Karate. I agree. Jets are grounded, can't get off the ground. Well, we scored 32 points in the first game. So how quickly people forget that we put up 32 in the first game. Just because we looked like dog shit in the second game. That was one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen. All right, 3rd down and 4. Tua in the shotgun, throws to the open receiver. Nice. I think what you're witnessing here is a guy who's limited, but look at the good things he does. He knows exactly where to go with the ball, knows what matchups he has. 10 is going to clear it out. 17 right behind. He knows he's looking at it. He sees where 24 is, and it's pitch and catch. That's good. That's good quarterbacking play right there. He can see from the coverage that 10 is going to clear it out. Therefore, 17 running a quick speed out is going to be open, and he hits it, and he knows exactly the timing. So that's good play by Tua, I'd say. Here's Ollie Gordon with a run. Ollie Gordon doesn't look like he's anything special. Just looks like a decent, running back. I don't know. I could be wrong. Running backs are hard to tell sometimes, except when they're like Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley. Barely Barkley. Alan Dodds, Frankie, if you could trade player for player, Tyrod Taylor for any other backup in the league, I don't know. So you're asking me who's the best backup in the NFL? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Here's an end around to Washington. Good play. Gets a first down. So again, Dolphins are hanging around. I think the Dolphin fans are going to say, okay, we're okay with this, regardless of how it turns out. Hung right in there to the end. They might pull it out. They might not. But I think Dolphin fans at the end of the day are going to say, yeah, they showed some fight. They went up on the road in a tough opponent. Oh, didn't get the first down, 3rd and 1. And we didn't get blown out. Oh, now they're respotting the ball or something. If you're asking me who's the best backup in the league, shoot, I have to think about it, Dodester. I don't know. I mean, Tyrod's up there in terms of backups. I mean, all right. Tua, oh my goodness. What just happened? And then you see the limitations. Tua is so fascinating to me. Boy, oh boy. And the Dolphin fans endlessly argue back and forth about Tua. And you can see why. I mean, this game is a perfect illustration of why Dolphin fans are so conflicted about Tua. He does so many good things. He shows so much good play, and then he does something like this. What in the world? And there's a lot of plays where he looks terrible. But then there's a lot of plays where he looks just fine. It's like, man, must be maddening. It's almost like, would you rather just have a guy who sucks? This guy, he shows you some high-level play, and then he shows you some very low-level play. Holy smokes, man. But I think, I don't know, let's go back to Doge's question. Let's ask AI. Let's just ask AI. Who are the 5 best backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now? So, because I'm not going to remember everybody's backup quarterback. Oh, yeah. Kirk Cousins. So AI answered, it's Kirk Cousins, obviously. Then Jake Browning, yeah. Andy Dalton, Jimmy Garoppolo, Marcus Mariota. So I would say Kirk Cousins is better than Tyrod. Jake Browning's better than Tyrod. Andy Dalton, then it goes Dalton, Garoppolo, Mariota. So I would say that Tyrod's in that tier. Tyrod's in tier 2 with Dalton, Garoppolo, Mariota, and Taylor. Some kind of order. But clearly, Kirk Cousins is the best. And Jake Browning's been pretty good in his limited action. If you look at some of his Statistics, wins, some of the things we look at with quarterbacks. Jake Browning's been surprisingly good for somebody who's a relative no-name. And what's up with Joe Burrow getting injured all the time? And all these, what is this? His third or fourth season-ending injury? It's pretty crazy. All right, now we're looking at it from the back. Let's see what Tua saw. Now, the pass rush helped, and he just panicked. So I would say good pass rush by 96, whoever that is. And then Tua panicked, threw it right to the linebacker. But again, I will say 8 is not a number for a linebacker. That's got to be outlawed immediately. We cannot have linebackers wearing number 8. That's got to go. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a nice fella. Elijah Moore with the moves. Flag on the play. Holding. Hey. I like Jake Browning. Yeah, he's done well. I mean, he's a no-name guy. Who the hell ever heard of Jake friggin' Browning? No-name guy, but he comes in and does the job. But what's up with, Joe Burrow getting injured every 5 seconds? What's up with him? Yeah, exactly. Get rid of this. 99 was better. We don't need him wearing 9. That's stupid. We need to go back to the old numbering system. It was way better. All right, now they try a run up the middle on 1st and 20. That's to get the clock running. Is McDaniels going to call a timeout? Is the question, but there's an injury, or did he call timeout? He called timeout. Yeah, wearing number 8 as a linebacker is definitely a 15-yard penalty. Gotta be. I mean, don't these guys have any respect for the old days? The old linebackers, 52, 55, 56, 58, the old 50s. There you go. Elijah Moore helping the Buffalo Bills to, successful offense. They figured out how to use him. Clock ticking. 1 timeout left for the Dolphins. They're not spending it now. Joe Burrow has had one of the worst O-lines in his career. It's like Andrew Luck all over again. Yeah, but what does that have to do with turf toe? What does that have to do with a forearm injury? It's true. They have sucked. But, I mean, forearm, turf toe, how does that track? I mean, yeah, it's a stupid team building. They could have had Penei Sewell, but they chose Jamar Chase as a receiver in college, so. Alan Dodds, no respect. Yeah. I mean, wide receivers should be in the 80s. Linebackers should be in the 50s. Defensive linemen should be in the 90s and the 70s. Have a little respect for the history of the game, bros. Wearing number 8 for a linebacker. That's ridiculous. Kickers are number 8. Punters. Yeah. Linebackers. No, they got no respect, I tell you. No respect whatsoever. They got no respect whatsoever. But it's funny because this game right here, this game will only put basically like lighter fluid on top of the fire of the debate amongst the Tuaneers, some call them Tuanon, and all the Tua haters as to what the heck the Dolphins should do at quarterback going forward. Are we down with Tua? Are we not down with Tua? He does some good things. He had us hanging in the game. Here we are on the road, Buffalo. We're hanging in the game. He's got us hanging in there. And then he throws the game-losing interceptions. 0, I don't care about 0. But the only people who should really wear 0 are like running backs or, kickers. I don't care about 0. 0 has no historical value. The whole thing is that, people grew up, rooting for, knowing that wide receivers were going to be in the 80s. Linebackers were going to be in the 50s. It's historical. 0 has no historical value, so who cares? But it shouldn't be like a linebacker or anything. It should be like a running back or a kicker or something. I mean, football does a very bad job of honoring its history. You think about baseball. One of the great things that baseball does is honor its history. They have the best Hall of Fame. They have the best. They just do a great job of honoring the past and stuff like that. I think football lags behind in that area. Maybe it's because the statistical comparisons between errors is very, very hard in football. But whereas in baseball, it's a lot easier. Not easy, but easier. You could compare Babe Ruth's stats to Ted Williams' stats to Aaron Judge's stats, and it's not the same. There's, but it's, you can make comparisons. It's very, very hard to look at Y.A. Tittle's stats, and compare them to anybody, So football has a problem with that, and that being the case, I would not have let this new numbering system go into play. I would have said, no, we're sticking to the historical way we've had it. What was the point of going to this? What was the point of it? What did it accomplish, even from a marketing business standpoint? Did we sell more jerseys? Did anything happen good for the league at all from changing? No. Then let's stick to the historical because we want to honor our history. We want linebackers to have linebacker numbers. I don't know. That way, anybody who's 85 on the Jets will get compared, to, Wesley Walker, Well, Snoopy, I completely disagree with you 100,000%. I think it serves no purpose, branding, marketing wise, and it's historically illiterate. Well, the Dolphins are going to have some sort of shot here. They're going to have 30-something seconds, I think, maybe 20-something seconds. 4th down and 5. They got a punt, right? They're not going to go for it. But they'll let the 20 seconds roll down. Then they're going to go for it? No, they're not. They're going to let it go down and call timeout. Oh, they're at the plus 30? Oh. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they could kick a field goal right now. $27. Are they going to kick the field goal? Yeah, they're going to kick a field goal, right? I thought they were at the minus 30. But I think it's good, to have, anybody who's 85 on the Jets, that's going to automatically call up in a Jet fan's mind Wesley Walker. And, and things like that. And 81 is going to be, Altoon. I mean, not Altoon. Altoon was 88. But, things like that. But I just don't see what the new system really accomplishes, except confusing people, like linebackers running around with number 8. What's the point of that? 48-yard field goal to ice the game. 4th down and 5, 27 seconds remaining. They get it down, ball's up, and it is good. So it's a 10-point spread. The good news is that it looks like the Dolphins will cover. So there's that. They were, depending on what you look at, 11.5 to 12.5 point underdogs. Looks like the game's going to end as a 10-point spread. So at least the Dolphins covered. Could say that. And the kicker makes up for his missed field goal earlier. And it's looking like the Dolphins will fall indeed to 0-3. And so now they'll go on their mini bye and get ready to face us. So we'll be facing a bunch of hungry dogs in next week. That could be a battle of 0-3 Titans. Man, oh man. So I think you would say the Bills escaped with this one. They let him hang around too long. One mistake by Sealer on that punt, so they were able to basically escape. And I think the Bills go, well, we could have this was a game the Dolphins needed in the worst way, and we're still able to beat them by 10. So, not too shabby to go to 3-0. Yeah, Bills fans got to be pretty happy with this. 3-0 going into your mini bye, and Dolphins will fall to 0-3. So we're not in last place anymore, everybody. For the time being, we move up to third place, at least until we play on Sunday. So there's that. So we just moved up in the standings, everybody, by not even doing anything. And you really got to wonder what the two-and-ears are going to say about this one. It's just so incredibly interesting to see him play so poorly most of the time, but then have moments where he's, plays well, even within a game, Probably one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in the league, I would say. And now, of course, he's going to pack on some garbage time stats here. 16 seconds remaining. They're going to try to get the ball out of bounds. Oof. $11 seconds remaining. And now you really start wondering about trades as well. What other trades can they make? I mean, at 0-3, I think it's pretty hard to make the playoffs. I don't think – has anybody made the playoffs with starting out 0-3? If not, you got to start thinking they're going to start lining up trades. I mean, but maybe it's too soon to think about that. Maybe they think they could still get their season on track. And this should be the last play of the game. Game over. 31-21. Buffalo Bills on top. Bills go to 3-0. The Buffalo Josh Allens and the Miami Dolphins with Tua and the two-and-ears go to 0-3. And I think that's something else you would say about this crew. I mean, this is like year whatever it is of McDaniels, 3 or 4, with Tua, with Tyreek, with Waddle, with the good running backs and good defensive players, and they're still not getting it done. You can say what you want about the Jets, but we do have a new staff and a new quarterback and a new everything, pretty much, and a new GM. So even if we fall to 0-3, I think it's a different kind of a feeling because, this is McDaniels, year 3 or 4, whatever it is for him and Tua together, continuity, and they don't seem to be getting better. And you could say the same about Chris Greer, in terms of the roster that he built for McDaniels and Tua. I don't think he did a great job roster building either. The Dolphins, they were supposed to shore up that offensive line, although they didn't play terrible today. I don't know. Could the Bills go undefeated? I think they could. I mean, they have one of the strongest rosters in the league, so anything's possible. Karate. All right. See you guys. Thanks for joining on FSPN. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and also consider joining the Inner Circle, where you get exclusive items, including exclusive videos that nobody else gets. That's the Inner Circle. Click the join button underneath this video, and it's only $1.99 at the lowest tier. So for $2, I think you get your money's worth, and I will see you guys on Sunday.